Hi everyone, sorry for that. I was just setting up this live stream. It was kind of almost last minute when I set this up because I was working on so much stuff, not only just personally doing stuff around the house, but also trying to edit a bunch of videos because I'm going to be away for a few days, I think sometime this week, this upcoming week. So I decided to get as much done as possible work-wise so I can give you guys much videos. So yeah, how's things been? It's been very hectic for me today. I've got lots of stuff that I did, lots of stuff to do, and I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to do after this stream as well. So how's things with you guys? Cole says, just watch a chicken run video. Oh, I'm glad. That took a long time to do, believe it or not. Like, non-stop work with that. And whilst I was doing that, I was also doing a bunch of other videos too that I was working on. Now, before I speak to you guys again, I just want to quickly answer the super chat that was placed here by the Movie King 3000, and then I'll move on to the rest of you. So he did a $5 super chat right at the beginning before the stream even started, so thank you very much for that. He goes, "Hey Eric, did you know that they just confirmed that the Marvel Netflix shows are canon to the MCU? Because I think before they were doing a soft reboot." Yes, I am aware, and that's what we will be talking about. In fact, that's what I should have actually titled this video, that the Netflix shows are canon, but it just goes to show how last minute this was. The thing on my mind was that Karran and Foggy are alive and they're being cast in the new show. So we'll talk about that when we talk about that. We're just going to go in order of these subjects that I talk about. And then we've got MovieFan2002, who's also done a $5 super chat. As I always say to you guys, these super chats, they always help a great deal, so thank you very much for that. Let me just quickly post this, as I always do, which is the Streamlabs link, and any donations you do this way, 100% of the donation comes to me instead of YouTube taking a cut, which they do take a little cut from the super chats. So especially if you do big donations, you definitely want to do it through that link so YouTube doesn't take a bigger cut from you. The smaller ones are fine, but the bigger ones, the cut YouTube takes does amount to a lot more then, so the bigger ones should be done through that Streamlabs link. Big Bash says, "Eric, you are amazing. Thank you for doing both a video and a stream." Oh, no problem. I'm surprised I'm kind of doing this much too. You will be surprised what I'm doing. I've not just done a live stream and a chicken run video today, which I've had to make sure I did final touches before publishing it today. I've also just recorded my top 5 best movies script earlier. I also edited the whole audio of the script earlier as well. I've also done my top 5 worst movies of the year, and I'll let you guys know a little bit now that top 5 worst movies is actually a top 10 worst movies of the year. And I've done that as well, so I'll be giving you a extra long top 10 worst movies, because I think more bad movies came out this year than good, to be honest with you. So I've got that coming up, and I've edited all of that. I've put in all the footage for all the movies in my top 10. Well, most of it. I've done the top 9 so far. I've edited all of those, the voiceovers, I've recorded it all, I've done the editing for it. My first worst movie, I still have to edit the footage for that. And I haven't recorded my 10th worst movie of the year yet. So I tend to sometimes do the voice recordings. I do like 80 or 90% of them. And then if there's little extras I still have to write, I'll put those in after. So basically that's what I've got going. So yeah, I've been doing a ton of work. And I've watched the whole of the Echo show. And I've written my whole script for the Let's Binge Watch of the show. So I've done, of the 5 episodes, I think I've completed 3 of the scripts, including my intro, and then I've got 4 and 5 written and the conclusion written in notes, but I got to turn those into the script, and then I got to read those out. So yeah, I'm just crazy amount of work right now. It's like my mind feels like it's scrambling to just get so much done, and then I've got my personal stuff going on in my personal life, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm doing a lot of this work, and I just finished the chicken run one today as well. So yeah, more than just a video and a stream, I've been doing a lot. So let's go to Movie Fans Super Chat. "Hey Eric, are you going to watch The Boy and the Heron because the movie won the Golden Globe last week?" Yeah, I heard people are disappointed that Across the Spider-Verse didn't win, but The Boy and the Heron did. I hear it's a good movie, but I haven't seen it yet. What was interesting to me is that the movie was a 12 here in the UK, which was basically a PG-13. I'm surprised, because when you look at that movie on its trailer and everything, it doesn't look like a PG-13 type movie or a 12 movie. So the fact that it got that means there must be more to that movie than what the trailer is letting on, because that is very interesting for an animated movie to get a 12 here. Pizza Man said, I posted a comment on the chicken run video. Did anyone see? I've not looked at the comments too much. I looked at the comments in the first, I think, 20 minutes of that video being uploaded, but I didn't really look beyond that because then I was working on the top 5 best movies of the year video that I was doing, recording that and editing that, and then I had to set up this whole live stream, so I've not checked the chicken run versus video yet. So that's what happens when you do a video and a stream and multiple other videos in the same day, so I'm going to have to check it later. So yeah, I am aware, movie fan, that that's the case. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing until I see The Boy and the Heron, and I'll probably see it when it comes out. I don't think I need to rush to go see it in theatres. If I did go see it in theatres today, I could have only paid about £4 to see it, because my theatre, I think they're losing business. They're really dropping prices for, I don't know if it's a limited time or for a long time, but they've dropped prices because they want to get more people back into the theatre. The theatres are really struggling right now, and it's kind of tough, isn't it? The movies are not that good. And on top of the movies not being that good, the theatres are just getting worse, I feel, as well. And man, where are these super chats coming from? I just scroll down a little bit and all of a sudden there's more super chats. Thank you very much, everyone. Like I always say, this does help a great deal. And also, it is tricky to do YouTube as a career during the first couple months of the new year because advertisers usually spend all their advertising money on Christmas and less time during... the new year. That's where they try to pull back on their advertising budget. So YouTubers, as a result, get less. Also, another thing I had to do, by the way, for this in preparation for this live stream was quickly charge my studio lights, because when I was about to set up the stream and I scheduled the stream, these studio lights were dead out of nowhere. So I had to quickly charge them for about a half hour. Otherwise, you would have got a very dark-looking video where you guys said last time I looked tired, and that was just because of the lighting. So yeah, let me just write this stuff down. I always write down these super chats I get. How do you think I found out YouTube were taking cuts when they were? Because I do, write these down. So I got a £2 super chat and a $2 super chat. So thank you very much, everyone. We've barely come into the stream and already you guys are just spoiling me with your support here. So thank you. Okay, let's just check. Am I missing anything? No, I seem to be caught up. And Pop Culture Debates, this is your 3rd super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much for continuing to donate. You said, so Pop Culture Debates asks, what do you think of the Doom games? I haven't, actually no, that's not true. I did play the Doom games, I think the original, the classic Doom, gave that a go. It was an interesting tech demo, but I grew up with Unreal Tournament, so to go from an Unreal Tournament game that came out in 1999 to Doom when that came out whenever it did, you can definitely notice the difference, and I was like, it's a cool tech demo, it's cool to know this is one of the first, I think it was the first-person shooter. That's great, but just not for me, personally. But it is definitely a good thing to look back at. I've played a demo, I think, of the PS4 Doom game. I wasn't too impressed with the demo, I didn't really know where to go. The shooting was pretty fun, but it felt awkward not using a mouse and keyboard. I think I've been growing up playing FPS shooters on mouse and keyboard, so not playing it on a mouse and keyboard was just a bit weird and strange to me. But I'll try to give it a go on my Steam Deck. I am curious to give it a go there. And the Time Shadow, who did a £2 super chat, says, on my knees begging for a Stranger Things versus video. I'm sorry, buddy, but TV shows take a long time. Means I have to watch the whole show if I'm doing a Stranger Things versus, or I need to watch a whole season. And then I got to compare it to most likely another TV show, and I got to watch a whole season of that. They're not easy to do. However, I was going to do a video on Stranger Things Season 4 because I did not like Stranger Things Season 4. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that I hated it. And that's the first season I hated. I loved the first season. It was a surprise to me. I went in not expecting much. Season 2, I really enjoyed that. And that's how I got my brothers and sisters to kind of like watch it. Me and my brother were already watching it. But I think the second season is how I got my parents to watch it too. So that was a good one. And Season 3 was also great. I loved Season 3. That's my favourite. And then Season 4, I was looking so forward to it. And I really did not like it. In fact, I would go as far as to say that I hate it. It's gotten worse and worse the more I look back at it. Which is bizarre because a lot of people say that's the best season, which was surprising to me. Movie Fan 2002, another super chat. $5 super chat. At this rate, we're never going to get to the stories if you spoil me, like I said, with these super chats. Which Planet of the Apes movie are going to have Kingdom face... Let me try to read that again. Which Planet of the Apes movies are you going to have Kingdom face up against in that potential versus video? Oh, that's what you're asking. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. In a potential versus video? I don't even think I would do a versus video. I don't know. It's the question is are people looking forward to it? I know there's a niche of us that are, and I am a huge fan of Planet of the Apes. Matt Reeves' Planet of the Apes really got me into looking back at the very old movies, because before I thought they were too old after I saw the Tim Burton one when I was a very little kid, and I did like that when I was a kid. But then I got older and I knew better after that. But yeah, I love Planet of the Apes, but I don't know if it warrants the effort that goes into making a versus video, because like I said, these take a lot of work. But we'll see what happens closer to the time. I might try to do something that compares Matt Reeves to the new director. I don't know. I'll try to do something, but I don't really know if I want to do a like-for-like versus of the characters and everything, because I think we already know Caesar and everyone is going to be far better characters. They've had proper arcs and they were introduced very well. Knowing this movie, I hope it is good, but I don't think they're going to introduce these characters as well as the characters that we had in the previous Apes movies. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. This is what I always say when it comes to versus videos. I always have to watch the movie to know exactly what I'm going to do. In fact, there's times I've said I'm going to do this versus video, but then I see the movie and I'm like, oh, that versus video doesn't really make sense anymore. If anything, it's better to do this versus video. Then I change my plans. Other times I go in, I just hear the movie, I'm like, yep, I'm going to do a versus video of that. Like Matilda the musical, I wanted to do a versus video of that with the original Matilda movie from the 90s, starring Mara Wilson and directed by Danny DeVito. But once I saw the musical in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, maybe even 5, I was like, yeah, this versus video is not going to work. These are clearly two very different things. They're not meant to be compared. So then I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do the versus video, because I was going to make that originally. So yeah, with versus videos, it really just depends. I have to see the movie first, then I know what I'm going to do. Alright, if there are... Hey, Eric. Hi, Eric. I miss you, says Jess. Oh, I miss all of you, too. I love chatting with all of you. Pizza Man says, I saw Rise and War of the Planet of the Apes, but I haven't seen Dawn yet. You need to see Dawn. Dawn was my favourite one. It's my second favourite movie of all time. Someone says, Eric, you are cutting out. Am I cutting out? Guys, do you see me on the stream? One of you said that I'm cutting out. Is that true? Alec Barton 313 says I'm cutting out. You see and hear me? No. I heard you, Cole. We'll talk about that later, don't worry. Fine for me, says George Phillips. I think you were a bit before I made it. A bit before I made it. Alright. Arathorn says we see and hear you. That's great to know then. Hui 2 and more. Don't worry, I will read your comment, but when we get to that story... I'm just saying hi to all of you guys, then we're going to get to the stories, and then you can ask me that question again during that story and I'll address it. Right now is not the appropriate time. I don't like giving too many spoilers as to what my thoughts are of certain stories that I cover. Jesse Susan says, do you have any expectations for Kang Dynasty? I do not. Marvel, I've said this before, but Marvel have everything to prove, so... That's where my stance is right now. Okay, so let's get on to the story, the first story. I should position it as the first on my list here. And that is Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is actually the winner of the Golden Globes, essentially. The amount of Golden Globes that it won. And MovieFan2002, who has given another $5 super chat. Seriously. You really are, like I keep saying, you really are spoiling me with these super chats. Robert Downey Jr. said recently that playing Iron Man in the MCU is one of his best roles he has ever played. He did say that, and he goes that because it's a superhero movie, he feels like it was kind of overlooked. And by overlooked, he doesn't mean by fans, he means by... like the Oscars and, you know, the Golden Globes and everything, because he did win for Oppenheimer. So, yeah, Christopher Nolan, he did a great job with this movie. I will tell you now that Oppenheimer was one of my favorite movies of 2023. I won't tell you where I place it or rank it, but it was definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I need to see it again. I want to see it again on my 4K projector at some point, but yeah. Great movie. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. So, let's see. Okay, so I've got my list here. And Oppenheimer was nominated for a lot of things, but I'm only going to talk about the things that it won. So, the categories that it won was Best Supporting Actor for Robert Downey Jr., It won Best Actor in a Drama Motion Picture for Cillian Murphy. It won Best Original Score for Ludwig Göransson, which was a fantastic score. I've got some of that music on my iPod, which I've been listening to ever since I saw the movie. Even before the movie, I was listening to a bit of the music, which is something I normally don't do, but this time I did, and it was really good. Best Drama Motion Picture. The producer, Emma Thomas, Christopher Nolan's wife, she got the Golden Globe for that. And of course, last but not least, director of a motion picture, Christopher Nolan. He won the Golden Globe, and yeah, well deserved. Although I've always argued Christopher Nolan should have won it before when he made movies like The Dark Knight. Whenever you bring up movies that came out in 2008, the first one that people will bring up is The Dark Knight. Whatever movie did win or did get nominated, a lot of people will most likely forget about those and will not be able to come up with it off the top of their head. But Dark Knight, they can come up with immediately, and it didn't really get anything. I think it only won at the Oscars, was it for a Best Supporting Actor or something for Heath Ledger? And I still to this day say that they only did that as a tribute to Heath Ledger. Because if Heath Ledger did not pass away, I don't think the Oscars would have given him that award. The only reason they did it was just so they could say, we gave it, and try to make an emotional moment in Hollywood is what they tried to do. But otherwise, they would have completely ignored him. Which it's just how I see it. That's what the Oscars do. They are very snobby when it comes to superhero movies, even if they are genuinely good ones. When Logan didn't really win anything, I think it won Best Screenplay, but I think it should have won more. At least be nominated for Best Actor or something, because Hugh Jackman did a phenomenal job in that. Now, the interesting thing is that Barbie... let me see here... Barbie was also nominated for a ton of Golden Globes, and it actually didn't win anything, believe it or not. Now, it won a couple of things, and I'll describe those to you right now. But it only won... Hi, Zilla Universe. Great to see you here. I know you can't see my face, movie fan. I've sorted that out now. That was just done in the meantime. But basically, with Barbie... it got a lot of nominations, but it didn't really get any wins. The only win that it won a Best Song or something for Billie Eilish, and I've heard people say, seriously, that is what won? I've heard some people say they didn't even like the song all that much, and it wasn't even the best song of the movie, but it won, because clearly Hollywood are just trying to give Billie Eilish something. That's what I heard, Logman. People say that the Ken song should have won. That's what a lot of people seem to say. But the Billie Eilish song won, and it was what I've heard by people is one of the worst songs, the most forgettable. And by the way, I've not seen Barbie, so just letting you guys know that ahead of time. I didn't see it. I went to go see Oppenheimer. But yeah, Barbie had a lot of nominations, but it only won Best Song or something. And the one everyone's talking about was Best Cinematic Box Office Achievement. It won a Golden Globe for that, which is apparently a new category they created, so they could give... in my opinion, just so they could give Barbie a win, if you ask me. I think that's why they created that little extra category. It's like when the Oscars, I can't remember if it was the Golden Globe or the Oscars or both, but it's like when they opened a couple new categories, just so, like, I think it was for Best Sound Mixing or something, just so they could give The Dark Knight something to win instead of nothing, because they knew that if they gave The Dark Knight nothing, it would look bad, because it was making rounds that year for revolutionizing superhero movies. Not one of the best superhero movies, but one of the best movies of all time, and it had some of the best performances of all time. Like, all these best of all time awards from everyone, critics, audiences. They knew it would look bad if they didn't give it something, so they just invented a quick little category and gave it that, which was basically a snub, because they didn't even nominate it for Best Picture or Best Director or anything. So that made me lose faith. Like, that was the first time. I was a lot younger at the time. It made me realize, wow, these Oscars and Golden Globes are full of shit, basically. There's movies that should win, but they don't. And then Inception, Christopher Nolan did that, and he didn't get any nominations for that either, I think. So that made me think that regular moviegoers know a lot more about movies than these Golden Globes or Oscars do, because they look at certain movies and say, yeah, this should not win, even though good work should speak for itself. A movie is a movie, but they don't see it that way. They have favoritism. They have their own... does it make sense if I say their own prejudice towards movies? Like, it's almost like Hollywood is like expressing... They've expressed racism and discrimination to normal people, but they're also doing it to the movies, if you know what I mean, to the genres. And yeah, so when that happened, I was like, Nolan could win anything else in these awards. It will mean nothing to me, because these are the same people that said no to those other movies that he had made. They didn't nominate those or allow him to win any of those. But now they're making him win this. Why? Because he's making a period piece movie, a kind of movie that Hollywood likes. You know, it's like, of course they'll give him that win just for that. So it kind of feels like Barbie is going through that same thing now that The Dark Knight went through, or that other of your favorite movies have gone through, like Inception, or even The Batman. That's what the Golden Globes essentially is doing to Barbie. They're giving it a win, but they're not really giving it, like, a definitive win. It's kind of like, here, take this, now piss off. It's that kind of win. They don't care about the movie. So, yeah. I mean, they've even snubbed The Batman, the Oscars, and the Golden Globes, which should have at least been nominated for Best Cinematography. I mean, even the great and most renowned cinematographer out there, Roger Deakins, he said that The Batman had the best cinematography of 2022, and that it should have been nominated at the Oscars, but it got snubbed because of Hollywood snobbery. He actually said that. You can look it up. Like a renowned cinematographer in Hollywood basically said that. And I agree with him. A lot of people would agree with him. He goes, when it comes to superhero movies, Hollywood don't like to, credit those, even though he thinks that great work should just be looked at as great work, regardless of the genre. So Barbie winning was not a real win, and it was just the awards industry's way of giving it something rather than nothing. And it was cringy to me when Margot Robbie and the director, oh darn it, what was her name, the director's name? Greta Gerwig. When Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie were up there giving a speech, like thank you for all the support of the movie. The way they were so excited, it felt like they had actually won the Oscar or the Golden Globe for Best Movie. So that was a weird thing, how they were like overly happy and stuff. I was like, they kind of snubbed you, what they just did. It's like, it's not a full-on snub, but that is kind of what they did. So I found that very weird, how how they were so excited over it. I didn't really think it was anything really that exciting. And I think the only actor that didn't win on Oppenheimer was Emily Blunt. I think she was nominated for a Golden Globe, but she didn't win. It was some other actress. So, yeah, congratulations to Christopher Nolan, even though I think this doesn't mean anything, because like I said, Nolan's made great movies in the past. They didn't nominate those. So the Golden Globes and the Oscars, they're very out of touch in terms of nominating movies. It's more of agenda-driven than it is judging it based on the work that it is. So, yeah. But yeah, congratulations to Christopher Nolan, and congratulations to the cast of Oppenheimer. They all did a phenomenal job, and I think they all deserve to be awarded, especially the composer. He's the one where I'm like, yeah, you really won there. Christopher Nolan won, but like I said, he should have won years ago. Cillian Murphy, he deserved to win. Emily Blunt was very good in the movie, but she wasn't in the movie that much. I would have liked her role to be increased a little bit, but at the same time, the movie is 3 hours, so how much more screen time can you increase? You have to cut certain things out, which, who knows, maybe they could have cut certain things out. Anyway, let's see, what do you guys think of this then? Oppenheimer winning. Spirit Hero says Emily Blunt is amazing. She is a very good actress. The G-Gamer, honestly, Oppenheimer and Barbie sound amazing. I should watch when I get the chance. Yeah, Oppenheimer I can speak for. It was a very good movie. But Barbie, I haven't seen it. I don't like movies that are overly feminist, because I've never liked movies that preach. Whenever they preach, or even people get up on stage and they give a speech, ever since I was little, I don't know why, I've always cringed at speeches. I've just never been good at them, at listening to them. So for me, it's like one of those things where if you make a speech, you got to make it super concise, I think. Let's see. Jess says, wow, Robert Downey Jr. looks like James Gunn with his new hairstyle. Does he? Where is Robert? He kind of does, doesn't he? Like James Gunn with his old hairstyle before he made it white. Or was it always white and he was just making it look black or brown? He kind of does, though, doesn't he? Those glasses, too. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is someone who everyone is always a big fan of him, but there's never normally someone above him in terms of status. Except for Christopher Nolan, and you can see Robert Downey Jr. acting almost like a fanboy around Christopher Nolan, like he's meeting someone like he's a fan of, which doesn't normally happen that way for Robert Downey Jr., I think. He usually tries to act humble around other people that are fans of him, but this is the first time he met someone that he was a fan of. And he says he was always Team Nolan, going back in the Dark Knight days and everything, but because he was Iron Man around that point, he felt like he couldn't really do that because it felt like it was kind of going against. But at the same time, he also said that he didn't think Christopher Nolan would hire him because he is Iron Man and he's been in the superhero movies, because that's just how it is normally in the industry, but Nolan didn't see it that way, so yeah. Alright, any more questions regarding this before we move on to the next story? Big Bash says, Oppenheimer is a good film. I remember I slept a little bit. The atomic bomb scene woke me up. That's funny. Interesting. Pizza Man 911 goes, didn't watch Oppenheimer, but my dad didn't like it, so I didn't bother. Well, if you and your dad have got very similar tastes, then it's understandable. But if you both have varying tastes, then I would recommend that you check it out. Because my dad doesn't like certain movies. I remember Stranger Things. My dad didn't like the first season of Stranger Things. He goes, nah, it wasn't really good. And it's because of that I thought, alright, I won't watch it. And people are telling me, watch it, watch it, watch it. This is back when Stranger Things was new. After a while, when season 2 was right around the corner, I thought, alright, me and my brother will watch it as like a horror movie night type thing every day. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. He even said to him, I don't know why he said it was bad. I thought it was really good. Spirit Hero says, Eric, have you seen Peaky Blinders? I haven't seen Peaky Blinders, although I am interested to watch it at some point. But right now I've got so much work to do, and there's other shows that I need to catch up on before I see that. So, yeah, but my brother, he's trying to watch it. I think he's only seen 1 episode so far, so he'll try to continue watching, so yeah. What do you think about Sonic 3 potentially being rated PG-13? Is that just a random question, or is that something that actually has the potential of happening? I don't think they'll give it a PG-13. Let me just search it up. Rumored to be first PG-13 in franchise. Oh, that is a rumor going around. Might feature more violence over Sonic's previous movies or adult humor dialogue. I hope if they do it, it will be for more violence is what I hope. Violence and tension. If you can try to incorporate that into a Sonic movie, damn would that be very good. It's like people, can you imagine people coming out of Sonic 3 saying, wow, I actually felt tension for a Sonic movie. That would be very interesting. Imagine if they tried to push the envelope, because even though I did like Sonic 2, it did feel like they weren't pushing it in ways. It's like kind of like a sequel that you expect in many ways. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but it was the sequel that I expected it to be in many ways in terms of tone and lightheartedness. So yeah, if they managed to make it PG-13 for good reasons, that would be interesting. It's trying something different, that would be. That being said, if it's just going to be PG-13 because there's some adult humor in there, I would not like that. Noah says, have you heard the Supergirl casting rumors from Deadline? I've looked at it briefly and looked at the pictures of the actresses, but we'll see what happens, because I don't really have an opinion on any of them. In fact, I was thinking of talking about that as a story here on this live stream, but I didn't end up doing it. Okay, it looks like I got a $1 chat, by the way, from Streamlabs. So I apologize if I was about 3 minutes behind on that. I got into the groove of talking about Oppenheimer. I think I forgot to go there. So let's take a look. Who asked me that question? And it is a guy called Joe. Thanks, Joe, for the $1 super chat. 4 questions, Eric. 1, have you finished Spider-Man Miles Morales yet? The game? Yes, I have. 2, do you think Disney will make good movies again? I do think they will, but it'll take a while because they're trying to get out of politics, but they're just too deep into it. So they will at some point, but it'll just take a while. And in the meantime, do they have that while, or as it takes a while, will people just completely just get pissed off and just done with Disney? Because there's a new deleted scene for the Marvels that came out. It was not it was done in poor taste, is how I would describe it. It was a joke that was done about Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel potentially being married, because that's what Valkyrie says, that she got married again, and then she goes, strap in. You know, it's like they did a dirty joke. That was not done in very poor taste, I think, because she's supposed to be a minor. So yeah, and the third question, Aquaman 2 or Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania? Aquaman 2, without a doubt. And 4, I have final exams Tuesday. Any advice? Sorry, I haven't got advice for exams. I was homeschooled, so yeah, I didn't do the exams part, because at the time they said you didn't have to. Now you would have to if you're homeschooled, but at my point, I remember I was going straight to getting jobs. So I got my first job, and then I got my second job. I just went straight into there and started making, tried to start having an actual job. And then with YouTube, I was like, well, I've actually found an opening here in the market, so I wanted to try to expand on here. So, yeah. So yes. Yeah. Okay. I think we're gonna be moving on now from this story. We'll move on to our next story. Let's see here. Okay, so time to move on to Daredevil. Now, if you all remember, there was a leak that, well, not a leak, but it was a report that came out with some internal leaks, I would actually say, where insiders were describing the state of Marvel, the deteriorating state of Marvel. I think it was a Deadline article, if I remember correctly, and they were talking about the state that the MCU is in. One of the rumors that apparently came out of that was that Karran and Foggy were killed in that show, in that Daredevil Born Again show from the MCU with 18 episodes. And apparently they were going to be killed in the first episode. They were going to get shot, and they were not going to be shown on screen. So the actors apparently were not even on set, meaning they hadn't hired them. So it was just going to be something that we heard via exposition, or at most, I can imagine, only based on my speculation, we would just see Matt Murdock looking sad. I'm assuming looking sad as the police cover up a dead body on the ground with a white fabric. That's what I'm assuming is how they would have done it. And I gotta say, Kevin Feige and Marvel, they have had such an arrogance and narcissism when it comes to Charlie Cox's Daredevil. When they first had the IP again of Daredevil, they were like, we are going to make it our way. We are going to make it more jokey. We are going to do a reboot so none of the Netflix events happened. And we are going to make Born Again so we can start from scratch our way and just get rid of Karran. We're even going to kill off Karran and Foggy off screen in the very first episode. And we're going to replace them with our new characters, including a new love interest for Matt Murdock, which I've got the images here, but they're not showing up for some reason. They should be showing up. Let me see. Here, yeah, I've got them right here. I don't know why they weren't showing up. But yeah, when I'm talking about the love interests that they were going to bring in, here's one. They're apparently going to give him 2 love interests, is what they were going to do with Daredevil. Which is so bloody stupid. So yeah, they were going to give him more love interests. On top of that, they were shooting the Kingpin in a different way, and you can see Charlie Cox. They had them on set. And they were like, we're going to make it our way. And we are going to, on top of giving him a new love interest, not Karran, which is what he had as a love interest first, on top of all that, what we're going to do is we are going to do an 18-episode show with our own writers that we pick, and we're going to make it episodic and fill it with cameos. We're going to make it episodic with a possible story at the very end. Basically, Marvel were just arrogant pricks who thought they were the best thing since sliced bread, and they were going to make it the way they wanted. And even though we hear you that you all don't want this, you want it connected to the Netflix show, you are going to have to take it. We're not going to be doing it that way. We're going to do it our way. And then, well, it turns out doing things the way they wanted has turned people off and resulted in box office and streaming flops after flops after flops. So, now they have their tails between their legs, Marvel have, and they're trying to bring us all back. So now they're like, Daredevil Born Again was apparently, and keep this in mind, Daredevil Born Again they did shoot it, like I've got those pictures down there of Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox. Daredevil Born Again was apparently so bad and boring that they cancelled it 9 episodes in and started from scratch. They are now connecting the Netflix canon to the Netflix characters, and they are now bringing Karran and Foggy back after they initially wanted to kill them and replace them with their own Disney-fied sidekicks and love interests. They were acting so confident, like, yeah, we're going to do it our way. And even though a lot of us were begging them, please do it this way, where we want you to. They were like, no, we're not going to. And now look what they're doing. This shows that they are desperate. They are literally got their tail between their legs, and they are just going off like scared little... I was going to say like scared little bitches, which they essentially are. Marvel, you can tell, are panicking with these decisions that they're doing. Look, with 2 love interests they were going to give him after Karran, and they were going to give him most likely a new best friend after Foggy. I'm sure they were going to give him like children, because the idea was that they wanted to bring Jenna Ortega in as a character. I'm guessing they were doing this because they wanted to bring in the younger crowd. And for that, I would say wait for Jenna Ortega to get older before you cast her into something like this. That's what I would say. But casting her right now when she's coming off of Wednesday hype, that's trying to bring in the teens. Like, you know, like the teens that are into like love stories or whatever. You know, those kind of teens. It just wasn't good. They were just making all the worst decisions, and then in the end, it turns out it was all the worst decisions because Kevin Feige said, crap, this is not good enough. Even though we've shot 9 episodes, we've wasted money on 9 episodes. Now we're going to go back to the drawing board. And I still don't like who they've hired. They hired the guy that did the Punisher shows on Netflix, and I didn't like the Punisher shows on Netflix. The first season had its moments. The second season, when I saw Jigsaw's face and the crappy makeup, I was like, this show's got no money. So I just didn't bother watching season 2. Because he looked nothing like Jigsaw. Basically, Marvel have just made a mess out of their MCU, and they've made a mess out of the Netflix Daredevil show. Which makes no sense, because they should have... not Jigsaw from Saw, Jigsaw, the Punisher's villain. This makes no sense because they've basically just taken a Netflix show, which should be so simple to make and write for these so-called professionals. They should be able to very easily get another Netflix season of Daredevil going in that style. But look at the crap that Marvel have done and how they've just screwed up so freaking badly. It just goes to show they really have no idea what they're doing down there. And... as I say that, I've now got a super chat, another super chat, someone who's done on Streamlabs, and it's a $1 super chat. Let's see, it's JJink22. Hi Eric, it was me, Joey Nichols, that did the super chat. Thanks for your answers. No problem. I have some questions. 1, is your score for Deadpool 2 still a 9 out of 10? I don't know, I need to see it again, but if I have to reflect on it, probably an 8 at this point. 2, did you see Wish? No, I didn't. 3, would you ever do a versus video between all 3 Guardians movies? No, I wouldn't do a versus video between all 3 Guardians movies. I'm not really... I've discussed the Guardians movies to the extent that I'm happy with, and I don't feel like I need to do a deep dive. If I do, it will really be to talk about the state of James Gunn versus what the rest of the MCU are doing. But yeah, I don't really feel like I want to talk about Guardians anymore. It's kind of come, gone. I've said my piece on it. I'll continue to talk about it in another video that you'll see in a bit. And I'm kind of just happy. I'm pleasantly happy with Guardians, and I'm just like happily moving away from the discussion and seeing what James Gunn does next, which is Superman and the whole DCU. Anyway, yeah, Disney were trying to essentially Disneyfy Daredevil. They were trying to. And if you've seen the final episode of Echo, the credit scene, which was practically like a comedic scene from Brewster's Millions, when he becomes mayor, he sees something on the news. There's a credit scene at the end of Echo, and it was practically staged like a comedy bit, but Marvel thought it was intense. This is setting something important up. I was like, that was freaking embarrassing. Me and my brother both saw that and were embarrassed by that credit scene in the final episode of Echo. And yes, I will be talking about Echo, so stay tuned for that. And one thing I will say is that if you've seen Echo, it just goes to prove how Marvel don't know how to use the R rating. They just don't. Do you remember when Logan came out? A lot of us were thinking, okay, they can make it rated R, but we don't want to see them just throw in some blood, throw in some foul language and a bit of nudity and say, there you go, that's it. The R rating is done. That's a lazy use of the R rating if you do that. We said use the R rating to do that, but in addition, make the storytelling rated R. And that's what Logan did. That's what Deadpool has done. That's what also Joker did. And I'm sure many other movies to come as well. Peacemaker did it as well, and so did the Suicide Squad. But when you look at what Marvel has done with Echo, it's basically a PG-13 story that they just threw some blood in and called it rated R and called it a day. So it's lazy what Marvel did with their R rating in Echo. It wasn't a good use of the R rating. It was a childish use. And the R rating itself was a very base level R rating. And they still have a lot of dumb humor in there. That's, I would argue in some ways, some of the more goofiest comedy that they've done, especially in the final episode, One guy, I'll tell you this, guys. I won't tell you who, but in the final episode, someone gets shot or blows up or something, and when it happens and they realize, oh shit, I'm screwed, they go, what? And then the person that's about to shoot him goes, ding, and then he just shoots him with his gun. It was bad. That was like comedic. And I was like, is this supposed to be the R-rated version? And Kevin Feige on the interview, I think on the red carpet or something for Echo, he said that this is our first TVMA, so we really don't hold back. And I'm like, this is holding back. This comedy that you're doing, it should not be here. This is goofy cartoon comedy. So yeah, I'm shocked at how bad they're doing it. And by the way, in our next story, I'll tell you something about Kevin Feige that might happen to him soon at Disney. So stay tuned as I go into the next story. So yeah, those are ultimately my thoughts on this. They're going to be doing Karran and Foggy in here, but it's like, should we be thanking you for that? You should have done that in the first place, you bloody idiots. That's my thoughts on that. But let's see what you guys are saying. Rohan says the finale was underwhelming. I wouldn't just say the finale was underwhelming. I would say it was complete and utter crap. Like, it was garbage. The fourth episode, I was like, okay, there's some good stuff here. But the fifth episode, I was like, wow, this is just like every other MCU show where they just very abruptly and very quickly wrap up the episode, and it's one of the shorter episodes, the final episode of the season. Marvel just seemed to be learning nothing, and Kevin Feige's learning nothing too. He keeps hiring these crappy writers, like seriously. Spirit Hero says Kevin Feige is the biggest buffoon of a filmmaker I've ever seen. Well, he's not even a filmmaker, he's a producer. But yeah, he is becoming a buffoon. He is, well, he was long ago a buffoon with the choices he was making. Tanner says, Eric, will you ever watch the Loki show? You will not be disappointed. Best show for the MCU by far. Yeah, but one thing I do know about the Loki show is that it doesn't connect to anything either, ultimately. A lot of people are saying, Eric, you need to see the first Loki season to understand what happens in the Multiverse of Madness. And it turns out we didn't have to see Loki to understand that. You just had to see WandaVision, and even then, you were still didn't understand what happened. How Wanda got so evil just because she read a book. How lazy, because the show just tried to get her out of being evil. Then it says, oh no, she's still evil because she read this book. That was just so lazy as far as character development went. But yeah, who knows, I might watch it someday when I got nothing to do. But here's the thing, when I watch Loki, I know you guys are gonna want to know my opinion on it. So for me, watching Loki is not as simple as just watching it. It's becomes my work to watch it. So that's why I've also not watched it, because I know I'm gonna have to take notes. I know I'm gonna have to review it. You know, there's all that stuff. So that's also a reason why I've not gone back to Loki, because I know there's gonna be a lot more attached to it than just me watching it. Marvel Cinematic Disaster, that's a funny name, says, I've watched your essay on why Kang was a terrible villain. I'm just going to say that not all villains have to be sympathetic like Thanos is. They could be born raging psychopaths. That is very true. I mean, look at Joker in The Dark Knight. He is just supposed to be, like, just born bad, essentially. Like, evil incarnate is what he's supposed to be. Evil incarnated is what he's supposed to be, and Batman's somewhere in the middle. And they did a great job. You can do evil villains without just making them evil. And I feel like some evil villains are just two-dimensionally evil. But then there are others that are evil, but they're not sympathetic evil, but they're understandably evil, like why they do certain things. Or sometimes you can't even understand them because they're just a level of crazy. It's like what Alfred said in The Dark Knight. Some people don't, some people are not logical. They can't be bought or reasoned or negotiated with. Sometimes some men just like to watch the world burn. Which is kind of what that was beautifully said in The Dark Knight about Joker, and you can apply it to a lot of other people in real life, like Israel. But and there's some, even you can just say some trolls on the internet sometimes just like to cause trouble just for the sake of causing trouble. It's like there's low levels of it, then there's crazy extreme levels of it, and yeah, I think that movie did a very good job of describing that and detailing it. And if you look at the Marvel ones, they just, when they do want to make evil villains, they are just two-dimensionally evil. Thanos was sympathetic, but at the same time, if you took his sympathetic side away from him, you could see why he thought he was doing something right, even though he was doing it wrong. Hi, Brandon Gaming. Great to see you on the stream. Let's see. Okay, so Eric, was Echo a soft TVMA or a hard TVMA? It was a soft one. And quite frankly, you were probably not here just when I said it, but I says that they didn't... they didn't even have to make this rated R. It's a PG-13 story that they could have easily told with a PG-13 rating, but they just made it rated R just so they can say we made it rated R, but they don't know how to make an effective rating R, like how Joker did, or how certain other movies did, like Logan. Quite frankly, though, I would still say, in terms of tone and everything, Matt Reeves' PG-13 The Batman movie is darker than Echo. A lot darker. Because Echo might have a couple of bloody scenes, but ultimately, it lacks tension. It lacks atmosphere. It's just very similar to the other MCU projects. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's an R rating, but it's not even like as intense, anywhere near as intense as PG-13 movies. So it just goes to show how they... I've said this in my Let's Binge Watch video. I'll say it to you guys on the stream. I said that Marvel have not even pushed the PG-13 rating. So I did not even expect them to push the R rating, because if they can't even push the PG-13, then how do you expect them to even know how to comprehend how to use the R? They'll just be useless at it, which is exactly what they are. So when it comes to the R rating and even the PG-13 rating, so I had no faith in them to begin with. Alright then, so we're going to move on from that story in a little bit. So, is there any other questions or things you guys have to say in regards to that? I've got a... Oh, another... I thought this was a super chat. It's a Patreon member. Joey Nichols has joined my $1... has become a $1 member on Patreon. So, let's see if I... bring this over. As you can see, the $1 Patreon perk here, trailer reactions and naming credits. Well, that's exactly what Joey Nichols has signed on for on Patreon. So, anytime you guys sign up on Patreon, I will, if it's during a live stream, I will welcome you to the Patreon group like this and show exactly what you just bought on Patreon here. In fact, let me just do a little edit here. Ooh, Batman's Game, I just saw your super chat. Hold on, let me do this first for a fellow patron that just signed up on Patreon. If you guys do do this when I'm on a live stream, I'll credit you during the live stream. Let's do a more friendly color here rather than that. There we go. Oh, Marvel Cinematic Disaster. I always imagined Monster House getting a live-action remake with Sam Raimi directing it. That sounds like a match made in heaven. That would be fun. That would be. That sounds like a ton of fun. Here we go. Anyone who joins Patreon during a live stream, because that's not happened to me before, but it has happened now, will get their name placed right over here during the stream. So there you go. Welcome, new Patreon member, Joey Nicholas. Thank you very much for supporting me on Patreon. I really do appreciate that. And now we've got Batman's Gamer, who has done a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. They didn't do translation for Echo. Had to use or turn on the subtitles to understand the sign language whenever Maya used it. Do you know what was weird about the subtitles for us? At the beginning, my brother says, "Are the subtitles on?" And I was like, "No, are they speaking a different language?" Because when subtitles are on, I kind of just focus on the subtitles. He goes, "No, they're speaking English." And then I had a look and I was like, "Yeah, our subtitles are off. But they're on for some reason when people are speaking English." So what I did was like, alright, I'll turn them on, then I'll turn them off again. Maybe it's a glitch. And then they went off for a bit. But here's the thing, whenever they're talking, the characters are talking to Echo, whenever they're verbally talking to her and saying, "How are you?" they're saying it out loud, but for some reason the subtitles would show up at the bottom as they were saying it. And I'm like, you're saying it out loud, we can hear you. And if anyone is deaf watching this, they can understand the sign language, so why are you putting the subtitles on there? And then when Echo is responding to them, hers is in subtitles, which makes sense, but then they say "speak out loud" and the subtitles are on there again. That happened throughout, and it was annoying as shit. It really, really was. It was so irritating. So, yeah, that was really, really bad what they did there. It was actually off-putting, but the show itself was already kind of off-putting, so yeah. Thanks again, Batman's Gamer, for the super chat. Like I said, these always help a great deal, so thank you very much. And like I said, guys, once I hit 100 patrons, I've got now Patreon has done something different. They put members there, so I've got over 100 members. That's not what I meant. I meant 100 patrons, people that actually donate. Members are basically also people that just get updates on your Patreon, but they're not subscribed to it, if you know what I mean. That's what Patreon have done now. They've lumped it all in the number, which is bizarre, but I have the numbers. Once I get to 100 patrons, then what I will do is, like I said, I'll get straight to work on that 3-way How to Train Your Dragon versus video. So if you do that, and we get to 100, which is the goal, then I'll get straight to working on that. And like I said, if you just sign on during the live streams, I'll put your name up like I just did with Joey Nicholas, and when I leave the video at the very end, Joey Nicholas' name will stay there, and anyone else's name who also joins will stay there the whole time. So, okay. So, back to the story at hand. Fraser says, "How do you feel about Joker 2 being a musical?" It sounds strange, but I encourage them to experiment with something like Joker because it's an Elseworld story. They can go ahead and do stuff like that. So we'll see how they do, is my stance on it. Okay. Have you seen Megamind and Big Hero 6? Yes, I've seen both. I haven't seen them in years, though. But Megamind, I love the twist in that. It was so good, so funny. Rohan says, "I hope the MCU comes to become more mature with their projects." I hope so, too. And I think they are trying, but they just don't know how, because they've been playing in the kiddie pool all these years. So, yeah, there's something they have to figure out. Maybe if Kevin Feige leaves. What do you think on their live-action How to Train Your Dragon? We'll have to wait and see, but they are doing good stuff right now, like hiring the original director, basically, to come in and helm the movie of the guy who directed the animated films, and that's a smart choice, something that Disney have not been doing. And would you look at that? I've got another super chat, or Streamlabs chat, and this is from Jonah White. Thank you very much. Thoughts on the Punisher show? Well, my thoughts, I already said it earlier in the stream. I liked the first season in parts, but I didn't like the first season because it was so slow. The Punisher was, quite frankly, a wimp in that, because they put in so much filler of him talking, and he just came across a bit like a bitch. Honestly, he was just, which I never thought I'd say about the Punisher, but he bloody well was in that. And season 2, I didn't bother watching when I saw what Jigsaw was supposed to look like in that. I was like, seriously? He's shredded his skin in the first one, but here he's got all his skin back. I was like, that's pathetic. I just didn't bother watching. I was disgusted by that. I was like, you can't even do a basic makeup job on the face? That's how low budget you got here? So I was like, alright, forget it. And Jonah also says, thinking of watching after Daredevil show. Thinking of watching after the Daredevil show, is that what you're saying? I also thought the Echo show was fine, but that only. The short episode count really hurt it. I think the short episode count didn't hurt it, because I think they had some filler in that short episode count 5 episodes should have been able to do... They should have focused on just Kingpin coming after her. What they did at the end, that should have been the 5 episodes. But they just squandered a lot of time because they had no plan to make this stuff. They just wanted to make it because it ticked off a lot of diversity boxes. She's... she's deaf. She's also got an artificial limb. She's a woman as well, and she's all these things that they basically wanted. She's a diverse, she's got a different ethnicity. They had all these diversity groups in mind, and that's what motivated them to tell this character rather than to tell a good story with her. They had no passion behind it, so that's why it failed, and I'm not surprised it failed. Brandon Gaming, you saw the Mickey Mouse horror movie trailer. I haven't, but I'm thinking of covering it on my Patreon, so if you head on over there, you should see that soon. Oh, speaking of other additional work I was doing, as well as all the other work I said I was doing, I also finished an episode of finished editing an episode of Let's Watch last night. It was an episode of Let's Watch The Grinch, the 2000 Jim Carrey one, so you'll get to see my reaction to watching that movie over on my Patreon as well. So that's another video I finished and completed, so I've been very, very busy. And I've got quite a lot of you joining in for the Let's Watch tier on my Patreon, so thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys are seeing that video, because it takes a long time making those Let's Watch videos, because you have to go through a whole movie. And I intend to do that with other episodes of TV shows. I'm already doing it with Invincible Season 2, and I'll be doing it when the rest of Invincible Season 2 comes out. Rohan says, Eric, one of the problems with Echo is that it lacked of blood and violence, and F-bombs feel like a TV-14 show rather than the TVMA. Yeah. Like I said, they did not utilize that rating properly. Marvel have no clue how to do it. Rohan says, I'd never seen your Let's Watch series on Patreon. It is on Patreon. Here, I'll show you again. You can see here on the $9.50 perk where it says Let's Watch Movies and Shows. You'll get my trailer reactions, my verses, my game shows, and my Let's Watch on there. The game shows I'm still developing currently. But Let's Watch is like the gold standard, like one of my biggest show over on Patreon. And that's the one that it is there. You'll be able to get it if you go over Patreon and subscribe to that tier. That's what it's at, when it will present itself to you. Rohan says I can't log into Patreon. Well, it's okay. Take your time, and you can eventually do it. Or if you haven't got a login, create an account. If you can't remember, just eventually get in. Pizza Man says I thought the Grinch 2018 Grinch was okay. Well, if you see my Versa video, you'll know what I think of it. Batman's Gamer. The Batman should have been an R rating, if anything. Yeah, it was damn close, wasn't it? Which I love about that kind of stuff. But Marvel, they didn't do the same, I'd say. I'm still getting you guys talking about the Chicken Run video, which is cool. Someone actually commented, it was Cult Killer Gaming, who says, didn't Miss Tweety die in the first one? That's one of the things I was actually going to write in the script, because watching it again as an adult, I think I didn't notice that before. It's like, yeah, technically she should die by that. But then I was thinking, I wrote it into the script of the Versus video, but then I was thinking, technically, didn't she also get blown up in that gravy explosion? She didn't die from that. If she should die from anything, it should be that. So maybe she could survive this too. Maybe they didn't intend for her to be dead just to get hurt. But if she died, man, that would be... I was thinking that was a dark but cool ending. Arathorn says, Chicken Run is just a great escape for kids. I love it. It is. I actually, originally in the script, I wrote a little joke. But I just didn't find a place to put it in the script for the video without it feeling like I was just putting it in at the expense of all the information I was giving. So what I did is I took it out. But I did write, it's essentially a chicken concentration camp movies, but with chickens. I said it's basically like War for the Planet of the Apes, but with chickens, essentially, is what I said, which is kind of what it was. So yeah. Batman's Gamer says, I pranked my teacher, would you please shut up? What is he doing? Will Oppenheimer 3 happen? No, it won't. First, Nolan doesn't do sequels, and if he did, you'd get an Oppenheimer 2, not an Oppenheimer 3. Arathorn99 says, my dad says my granddad was one of the stuntmen in The Great Escape. Oh, cool. I still need to see The Great Escape. I haven't seen that movie yet. Tanner says, last week, live stream, you said you were planning to make a video on Zack Snyder's Justice League versus Avengers Infinity War. What do you think that when do you think that video is coming out? Not for a while. A long while. It's on my list of to-dos, but it's not on my immediate list. It's on my list of things that I eventually want to do, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I will do it. But I have wanted to for a while, but other stuff has come. Next month, we're going to be focusing on Avatar. I still have to do my Spider-Man 1 versus 2 video for the game, so yeah, there's a lot of work I've got to do. The Dark Lord says Eric said he'd do it when he feels like it. Yeah, that's also kind of true, because you want me to write the script and do the video when I've got that passion for doing it. When sometimes you just watch a movie and all of a sudden that passion for it comes back. Like the 2004 Punisher movie I was watching recently, I really got a passion for that. And then you feel like talking about it. But I don't feel like talking about Infinity War or Zack Snyder's Justice League right now, so you'll get a less good versus video from me, I think, if I was to write it right now. George Phillips says, Yo, Eric, have you ever played Disney Infinity? They are the most underrated games of all time. No, I haven't played it. Sorry, bud, I haven't. They just look kind of boring to me. I need something that's less kiddie, but... Well, kiddie is not the right word. Just something that feels more up my alley, more stakes involved. I prank my teacher. Please don't do that or I will have to ban you for the stream or give you a timeout. And I don't want to do that, so please don't do that. Okay, so who wants to do the third story now? Are you all got any last minute questions about this? About Karran and Foggy coming back and the Netflix show now being canon? Do you have any thoughts? Do you think Marvel are panicking? That's why they're doing this now? Because before they were adamantly against it and doing their soft reboot, which is what they clearly really wanted to do before. Rohan says, I am happy that Karran and Foggy are coming back to the show. King K says, did you notice me in chat? If it's the super chat, I'll apologize, but if it's in the chat, it's hard to notice sometimes because I'm looking at my screen with all these notes and my next live stream screen, which I talk about the next story screen, but I don't see all the comments because of that. That's why I say super chats really does help. It's not just supporting me, it also helps me see your question if you really want to get something answered. And speaking of which, Iron Warrior has done another super chat. Thank you very much for joining and doing a super chat, buddy. Let me just write that down and then I'll answer your question. $5 super chat. Whoa, good thing I got here. Oh, you just got here. Glad that you could come. Is a Scream 7 still happening after the whole situation? I don't think it is, because they're cheap, that Spotlight company. Is that what they're called, Spotlight? They're cheap. They don't want to pay people too much, and Nev Campbell, the reason she didn't come back with the 6th movie is because they didn't want to pay her. And now you think they're going to want to pay her for this one. Maybe if they're really desperate, but I wouldn't pay to see the movie even if she's in it. And I was one of the ones that was the most annoyed that she wasn't in 6. So if I wouldn't see it, I don't see how a lot of other people would. You'll still get people, but I think you'll get significantly smaller audience now after what Spotlight has done. And people are never going to forget that. Also, are you originally from Britain or moved to that country? I was born in Britain. I've always been here. Batman's Gamer says, I arrived late. You arrived late too. Yeah, no problem. I'm always glad when you guys can come. But yeah, some of you, I can notice some of you are not here, but hopefully that'll happen at some point in the stream. Okay, we're going to get ready now to talk about the next story. And I've got 50 of you watching right now. A lot of you commenting, which is nice to see. Where's JCat? I don't know. He's probably busy. Last time he said he was busy when he jumped into the stream. By the way, all of you, if you can give the video a thumbs up, that would also be very nice. Anytime you give these live streams thumbs ups, that would be great. Let's see. Big Bash says, do you plan to travel outside the world? I would like to, but not right now. And if I did, I have to take a break from making videos for you guys as well. Do you believe in time travel? No, I don't. But it makes one hell of a great movie. If you go back in time and see your parents at high school and try to get them, make them become a couple. When I said thumb up in the live stream, I meant click the thumbs up button. You guys knew I meant that, right? Oh, you do? Oh, I was just looking at it. It wasn't updating for some reason. Oh, thank you very much, guys, for giving the video a thumbs up. That's what I meant. Thank you very, very much for that. I love seeing all those thumbs up there. Thank you. Let's go to the third story, shall we? Says King of the Monsters 2021. Okay, let's go. And also, hi. I didn't know you were in the chat. I just saw you now. All right then. Third story. The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's a movie that's been announced with Jon Favreau set to direct and produce, and apparently him and Dave Filoni are both writing the script. Interesting thing is, I heard about this story a couple days before it was even announced in the trades, because I follow certain people on online who actually have some inside sources, and they don't know if these inside sources, it's like they trust their sources, but they don't know if it's true or not. So I already heard about this, and then there's proof right here that they were going to do it. That's cool. That is a cool feeling to know something before it actually comes out in the official trades. But yeah, basically, directed by Jon Favreau, written by Jon and Dave Filoni, Mando Season 4, that's what this is going to be. It's going to be condensed to fit this movie. So they're not going to make The Mandalorian Season 4, they're going to condense it to fit this film. And that does put into question the future of The Mandalorian show. It is uncertain after this movie. It may or may not get future seasons. The reason I say this is because if the movie does well, then Disney are going to want them to make more Mando and Grogu movies that can do well at the box office. If it doesn't do well, will they say, fine, put it on streaming, or will they say, just forget about it altogether? Your brother broke your computer, King K. I'm so sorry to hear that. The G Gamer says, is it going to be theatrical or Disney Plus? Well, as you can see in the title of this video, I did write it in the title, right? Yep, theatrical movie. It's going to be a theatrical movie that's going to go in theater, so it's not a Disney Plus movie. And I think it's interesting that he's doing this. I think if he makes this at a good budget, and if it makes some money back, then good. The reason I say good is because I'm not looking at this movie as something I'm hugely looking forward to, but I'm looking at it as a first step for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to take over. Because, oh, when he went on my stream, oh yeah, that happened last time, didn't it? And I said to him, I said, by coming on the stream, you've kind of admitted that you've taken his computer. So I said, if I won't tell him unless he watches this stream, in which case I just was telling you. And yeah, it turns out. I hope he didn't mess it up, did he? I'll read your comment about that later. Anyway, let's get back to the story at hand. So yeah, basically that is actually a good thing, I think, in the perspective that if it's low budget enough, hopefully he can make it work. That's what I think. Hang on, someone's done a Streamlabs chat. But yeah, this is supposed to be them trying to set things right, and I'm rooting for them to get it right. Hopefully they would try to make the movie better than just a streaming season. I hope they try to make it more eventful, personally, is what I think. But we'll see what happens. Let's just quickly take a look right here. Someone sent in a super chat. I should read it. There's another one from Jonah White. Do you watch any sports? No, I don't. But I did used to watch snooker. I think that's the closest to sports I would get. Oh, and tennis. I used to love watching tennis. It was very therapeutic and calm. Also, I really enjoyed Infinity War and Endgame so much that they make some of the previous Marvel movies seem childish in regards to their tone. I do agree. In my opinion, people finally caught on to Marvel's inconsistent tone in Thor 4. That is where it happened. It was happening before that as well, but that's a big one where it happened. Yeah, that is the big one where people really started turning on them, and then Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania just poured salt on the wound. And I think Echo is also going to piss people off. Ekron says, bro, you Indian? No, I'm not. I'm Asian, but I'm not Indian. Anyway, let me get back to the story. Thank you very much for that $3 super chat, by the way. Streamlabs chat, by the way. I really appreciate it. Okay, so, going back to the story. Now, this is actually something interesting, because we're going to connect this to the last live stream where I talked about the fake Rey movie. Now, apparently, these inside sources are basically saying that Lucasfilm is low on funds, apparently. That's why Ahsoka Season 2 is on hold. The studio wants to make it, but they don't really have the funds right now to make it. So it's on hold for money issues that Lucasfilm is currently experiencing. Now, what I found interesting is that, first of all, this all comes down to how well the Mandalorian movie does with Grogu. If that does well, then they can fund the Ahsoka Season 2 show, which we don't know how long it's on hold for. But it just poses the question, if apparently Lucasfilm want to make the Mandalorian movie, and they want to make a Ahsoka Season 2 show, but they can't afford it, well, then how can they possibly allocate funds to a Rey movie? How can it happen if Lucasfilm is going through these money issues? The thing is, it's not. It's not going through money issues. It's going through money issues, but they're not going to be able to make that Rey movie if they're going through these money issues, and they can't even afford to make the show that they want to make, which is the Ahsoka show, because the Ahsoka show apparently is going to eventually use the Veil of the Force to wipe out the sequel trilogy films, and that's going to be the thing that they're going to try and do. I don't know if it's going to be the next season or the season after, but with Ahsoka, that's what they're going to try and do, is wipe out the sequel trilogy, and then say they can set up their own path going forward. Movie Fan 2002, you're killing it with these $5 super chats. Seriously, thank you very, very much. Movie Fan 2002 says, are you going to see Pixar's Soul in theaters? No, I'm not. I think the movie's already out, though, and I've not seen it. Yes, you have heard me right. Pixar finally gave Soul a theatrical treatment. Oh, Soul is the one with the piano. Was it the black guy on the piano? I can't remember his name, so I'm calling him Black Guy. Yeah, I saw the movie at home. I did back when the pandemic happened, and it was a fun watch. But I didn't love it like everyone else did, and it's not a movie I ever felt like going back to. So, yeah, Soul is a movie where it came out and now it's done, and I don't really feel any need to go back to it. It just was okay to me, in the grand scheme of things, if you look at it from that perspective. So yeah, do you remember the? Let's go here. Do you remember this Chinoy woman that I told you about? Let's get that up. This woman on the right wearing blue. Remember what I told you about? Sorry, Hui Toon Mo, I haven't read it yet, but you can pose it when I'm finished telling the story, because then that'll be the time to ask it. Alright. Let's see. Okay, so this Chinoy woman who said that she's having a Rey movie made. Yes, that you're right, Batman's Gamer. That is the Miss Marvel director. She directed a couple episodes, and apparently they had to reshoot those episodes because she didn't know what she was doing, is what some inside sources have said. Because she's directed documentaries, and now she's just been pulled out because she's a diverse person. Oh, that's why. To direct she's a Pakistani member, basically. She's Pakistani, and Marvel thought, you know what, because we want to do that whole thing of hiring people that are Pakistani to direct a Pakistani character, and a woman directing a Pakistani woman, that's why they basically plucked her out and said, we're going to make you the director. But they didn't care what her background was, and she had only directed documentaries, and she did a bad job with the 2 episodes of the Marvel that she was supposed to direct, that they had to reshoot the whole thing, and now suddenly we're supposed to believe that she is directing a $200 million Rey movie. It doesn't work like that. So, no, she's trying to just get ahead with her career by putting pressure on Disney that we're putting it out there, and now I'm going to have to direct the movie. We know she's not going to be directing the movie. And let's just go up to my notes here. We know she's not going to be directing the movie, and also the supposed writer for that movie, who is Stephen Knight, is apparently working on other movies, according to... there was an article that came out where I think it was I can't remember the guy's name. I should have written it down, but I can't remember his name. And basically, that there was something that came out on an interview, and I'll try to get the interview up at some point. But basically, what he said is that writer is busy right now and he's not writing the movie. And it's like, okay, so they were all talking about scripts, and there was even people saying that, yeah, the script is written or it's coming along, and now it turns out he's not writing the script. It's like, what monkey clown show is going on here? If something is booked, then you're supposed to be writing a script. But they're not doing that, so, yeah, it clearly shows that there's Kathleen Kennedy and her group of people are trying to pull a fast one and trying to get these movies done and made, but Disney are in a very bad financial situation right now. Even Lucasfilm is in a very bad financial situation right now. If they can't even afford to make the show they want to make, which is the Ahsoka show, why will they allocate money and spend money on making a Rey movie when Rey is one of the characters and she's a part of the movies that practically damaged the Star Wars brand and the Lucasfilm brand. No one's going to want to put $200 million plus into a movie like that, and you know it's going to cost a heck of a lot more than $200 million because this woman can't even direct an episode of Miss Marvel. What makes her think she can direct a $200 million Star Wars movie? It's going to require a lot of reshoots and a lot of reworks, and it's going to cost a heck of a lot more than $200 million. So it's not going to happen. So that movie, she's saying it's going to happen, it's not. And because of what she's done, and Kathleen Kennedy, remember, this is all started because Kathleen Kennedy announced this movie at Star Wars Celebration, when Bob Iger told her not to announce anything. She announced it anyway. And after all this time, the other show that Kathleen Kennedy announced when she wasn't supposed to during the pandemic of all times, The Acolyte, you still haven't heard anything about that, have you? And we're now into 2024. So it just goes to show, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy should be fired, Movie Fan 2002. And I think that soon at some point she will be, either this month or next month. Let's see what happens. I don't know if they're going to go through with it, but there's Nelson Peltz is basically an investor who's trying to take over Bob Iger's job and have the board like throw him out because Bob Iger is causing a lot of financial issues for the company, and he's not making products that is making Disney beloved like it used to be. So if he greenlights this and puts $200+ million into a Rey movie from a first-time director who failed on her first time when she did the TV show, that's extra reason for Bob Iger to basically be kicked out. So it's in his best interest not to let this movie happen. So that's why he's trying to now trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, because he knows they can do a better job. They have proved themselves with their Star Wars projects in the past. So, yeah, that's what's happening. And don't be surprised if Jon Favreau tries to bring Gina Carano back now as well, because that's something he's also going to want to do when he can have full control and he wants to set the ship right. Although, it was gross to me that this movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu, was apparently also going to be produced by Kathleen Kennedy. That's what it was also said. They keep putting her name in there. They need to really just get rid of her. And we'll see if that happens. And the reason I say this is because apparently Pixar is currently about to lay off employees. So it's very interesting that Pixar is about to lay off employees because some insiders have said that apparently some people at Marvel and Lucasfilm are also going to lose their jobs soon. And this is the interesting part. I hear that Kevin Feige is scared that he will lose his job. So Disney feel forced to get rid of some big people right now, especially because investors like Nelson Peltz are trying to get Bob Iger out because he is failing the company. So there is change that is going to happen at Disney, but it's going to take a while for it to happen. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens exactly. But Disney are basically just going through a downward spiral. People are just getting sick and tired of their shit, basically. So, yeah, it's interesting, and I think it's also quite cool that we're seeing Disney sweat, because they're now starting to make decisions. And I do think Kevin Feige just needs to get out at this point. He's screwed up too many times. The only thing I hope when he gets out is I hope that James Gunn does not pick him up and say, "Here, you help me with DC." That's the last thing that I would want. Because Feige, despite all of this backlash and all this stuff not working and gelling with fans, he's still trying to make a female Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie that he's trying to do. It just goes to show that this guy has no idea what he's doing. He continues to make these bad decisions. Batman's Gamer is right. Everyone, let's salute to old Disney. And I do salute them. But yeah, the company is in real trouble. And they need to just get their shit together, essentially, because they're really messing around here. Jess says, thumbs up or thumbs down for Madam Web? Well, of course it's a thumbs down. Madam Web's coming out next month, and I heard a rumor, well, my brother told me about this rumor, that it turns out that Tobey Maguire's stunt double was on set. I don't know if this is true, I've not checked it myself, but that's what my brother said, and he goes, does that mean they're going to try to bring Tobey Maguire in here? Because I said if that is true, then they're going to have to put it in the advertisements, because Sony knows no one's going to come and watch the movie, so they're going to have to try to do that. But yeah, it is a glorified CW show, Arathorn, you're definitely right. King K says, you hear Kevin Feige wanted the Kraven the Hunter movie in the MCU. I did hear that they wanted Kraven the Hunter in Spider-Man No Way Home. That's something that I heard, but I don't know if that's true. It very much could be. If you were a movie director, what do you want to direct? Says Marvel Cinematic Disaster. Well, if I could direct a movie and I could just take my pick, and if I could just magically have the skills to do so, it would be a Batman movie. Batman's Gamer says they wanted Jimmy Kimmel to play Kraven in No Way Home. I don't believe that, Batman's Gamer. I think you must be trolling me. You must be. I feel like I would have heard something like that if that was true. Pizza Man says, I heard the Craven rumors as well. It could have been interesting. What, with Jimmy Kimmel? What are you trying to say? Yo, Eric, what do you think of the biggest stunt in cinema history, Mission Impossible 7, alongside the other stunts in that film? The stunts were amazing in that film. I thought they were fantastic. Batman's Gamer says, watch a Jimmy Kimmel show from years ago. He said, is this a long time ago they wanted him? That is so weird. Just goes to show how Sony has no freaking clue what they're doing. Eric, will you visit New York City one day, says Jess. I would like to, but I don't think so. Batman's Gamer says, look it up. Alright, I will look it up at some point. And the first thing I'll look up is that someone donated, it says here, $3, or is that just my phone being out of sync? I don't think another super chat has happened, actually. Let's see. On Streamlabs. Yeah, another one hasn't happened. That's just bringing in an old one. Let's see. George Phillips says, Mission Impossible 7 should have been delayed till after Oppenheimer. I agree, because it also didn't have the premium screens for that long. Movie Fan 2002. Rohan says that he agrees with Movie Fan 2002. The only reason I'm watching Madam Web movie is because of the plot. The only reason I'll be watching the Madam Web movie, and it won't even be in theaters, but the only reason I'll be watching the Madam Web movie is so me and my brother can just laugh at it. That's the only reason we'll be watching it. Big Bash says Lightyear got banned in the Middle East. Yeah, so how many times has Disney cut stuff out to prevent it from getting banned in China, but also when the Middle East does it, it's a problem? It's because they just have an agenda against the Middle East, clearly, after all the stuff we're seeing. Have you seen Cobra Kai Season 5 yet? I have, and I still haven't put my Instagram videos up with that. I'll try at some point to do it, but hopefully when I'm less busy, but I'm always busy lately. I'll say this, it's not worked out. I tried to do an experiment on Instagram where I thought, let's do these audio reviews instead of the written reviews that I was doing with He-Man and stuff. Next time I'll just go back to written reviews, because clearly I got so busy that I was not able to finish off the reviews for Cobra Kai. So I'll try to just complete them at some point when hopefully I'm less busy. Right now I'm just swamped. But then I'm never going to do that again. That just didn't work out the way I kind of wanted it to, so yeah. Unfortunate. But I did like Season 5 overall, I will say that. Jess is doing another announcer thing. We are proud to pronounce that bad Sony Marvel movies, and it will win 100 Razzies for Worst Picture for their stupidity. 3 cheers for Sony. Yeah. Rohan says, I heard Barbenheimer movie's going to happen. I heard something to that effect as well. I think it was going to be a low-budget thing. Batman's Gamer, you did an announcer. Was it you in the previous stream that did the announcer? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Alright, so you guys have any questions regarding this? Hooey Tooey, I think you said you wanted to ask a question regarding this, so you can ask it now if you're on the stream, and I'll answer it. Oh, hey, Lenny Williams. Great to see you on the stream as well. Huey Toonmore says, I'm sorry for calling you Huey Tooey. I got that wrong. Huey Toonmore. I still believe you should do a Versa video on that, on the Percy Jackson movies and the TV series. Like I said, I'm swamped. I haven't got any time for any others. It'll just slow down all my other projects. Look how long it's taken me to do my top 5 best and worst movies. The movies will be top 10 worst, so you'll get more of those. And I'll also do some runner-ups in my first best one, so you get more. You'll see me talk about more movies that way. But yeah, it is taking longer because my top 10 worst movies is apparently going to be about 17-18 minutes right now. At least it's about 17 minutes. So when I put in the extra bits that I have to record, I've recorded about 90% of it. It might be another 20-minute video. coming off of my other 20-minute video with my chicken run versus video. So, yeah. Cole says, how would you rate all the Hunger Games films? I can't even remember, to be perfectly honest with you. I need to see them again. King K says, did you like the Spider-Man video I made? Was it the short that you made? You have any thoughts on the new Joker movie coming out, says D3 Platt. No, I don't really have any thoughts right now. I'm just hopefully optimistic. I'm just I'm optimistically optimistic. Like I'm very excited about that movie. That's my most anticipated movie of this year. When's the Penguin coming out? It was supposed to come out I think in the middle of this year, but now it'll come out in the latter, like towards the end of the year, in the latter quarter of the year, because the writer's strike happened. So probably September, October. I'm thinking something like that. Let's see, why don't you ask me a question about it was Pizza Man. Which one are you releasing first? The best or worst movies of 2023? The best. I always do release the best first. Even though I've edited more of the worst, I'm going to edit the best and finish that, have that released first, and then do, everything else. King K says, yeah, that was it. Did you like it? I didn't really know what it was. It was some cool imagery, but it was very basic. It's not something I can really say too much about, because not much happened, and it was very, very quick and short. But what it was, yeah, it was nice. But if you want your videos to do well, you gotta make something that people are looking for. What was it that you were trying to do in that you thought people were looking for? You need to ask yourself that. The Logman, have you played God of War Ragnarok? No, I didn't even finish the first God of War for PS4, so I gotta finish that before even playing Ragnarok. But what can I say? I had to play Spider-Man, so I got to that. Halfway through God of War, I was like, alright, I'm getting a bit bored now. Let's play Spider-Man PS4 instead, which I just got that morning, so I started playing that. Wow, Eric, the first top 10 worst in a long time, and you get credit with more $1 billion. Morbius I did in my last year's worst movies? So yeah, no, I don't bring up Morbius in that video, Jess. What are your thoughts on Legend of Zelda being live action, says Alec Barton? It's a stupid idea. It should not be live action. Okay, you know what? Because looks like we're done talking about The Mandalorian, I'm just going to switch here for our Q&A session. And I'll keep the new Patreon members right there so their names will all be displayed here. Eric, you should get some grips on grips for your back buttons on the Steam Deck. They are so good. Are there grips for the back buttons, or are you talking about the back paddle buttons? Because I think the back paddle buttons are so comfortable where they are. I've never had a problem with them. King K says, sorry, I have to leave the stream. Don't worry, my brothers. Yeah, that's all right then. It's okay. So, thanks for dropping by, King K. I really appreciate it. So, take care. I'll see you in the next live stream. And for those of you that haven't, be sure to see my chicken run versus video. I put a lot of work into that. Like, you have no idea how much. D3 Adpot says, what video do you think is where you started to pop off on YouTube? Where I started to get big? I got big with a lot of videos on YouTube, like a lot of random ones, funnily enough. But the two ones that I thought were the biggest back-to-back that did so good with their viewership was when it was my It Versus video and my iPhone X being the biggest scam in Apple history. Both those videos I made within days apart of each other or something, and they both shot up to like over 1 million views. That was an amazing feeling, and my subscribers were really going up. It was great. The Dark Lord says, I just watched the chicken run before joining the stream. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you watched it. Thank you very much. Spirit Hero is back. That's great. I didn't even know you went. If you said it, I'm sorry. I must have missed it. I want to start off with a Spider-Man Versus video, said Big Bash. What do you mean you want to start off with a Spider-Man Versus video? Cole, you can guess what my top 5 best movies are, but I'm not going to give you any answers. Marvel Cinematic Disaster. What do you think of Electro's theme from The Amazing Spider-Man 2? I love that theme. That was a great theme. Really good. The G Gamer, how would you describe a 1 out of 10 movie in your opinion? And how would you describe a 10 out of 10 movie? A 10 out of 10 movie is a movie that worked on every aspect, and it also hit me emotionally, or it doesn't even have to hit me emotionally, just everything has to work and flow and really speak to me. That's where a movie gets a 10. Especially if it's a 9 movie, but it got me to cry, then it gets a 10 as well, if it got me like in the feels just enough. A 1 movie is something that feels like there's no effort, the story had no purpose, or if you watch the whole movie and then the story at the end pulls some nonsense, like what a lot of horror movies do, and it makes you feel like makes you feel mad because it feels like you just wasted your time and they just give you a twist, depressing ending for no reason. Those movies can normally get a 1 from me. A movie that makes me feel like I've wasted my time, I was bored watching, it was a certain runtime but it felt a heck of a lot longer. All those kind of things make for a bad movie, a 1 out of 10. One where there's no effort in the script or the story and it leaves me feeling angry. Like what you said about Smile. Yeah, exactly. The Log Man, that's a very good example. That movie I would have given a high score, but that ending, it just pulled it right out of its ass just so it could be a horror movie. It's like saying, yeah, I'm a horror movie. That's what horror movies do, isn't it? We just do bullshit out of left field endings. We just screw the characters over in the end. It's like for a movie that was so smart, the director made, the writer and director, I think it was the same person, made such a stupid, idiotic choice right there. And I actually lost respect for him as a filmmaker because of it. As a writer and a filmmaker. It just felt like, how do you go from making such a smart movie to making such a stupid decision at the end? That decision he made was a decision that was taken from like some of the worst filmmakers out there and some of the worst horror movies out there. He put it into his movie. And I never want to see that movie again now because of that. Otherwise, I probably would have wanted to watch it. Jacob says, do you know who is Bendy? If by Bendy you mean the character Bendy in Foster's Home, I don't know if that's what you're referring to, though. Which is one of the worst movies of 2023 overall. I'm not going to tell you that, Rohan. You got to wait for my top 10 worst videos list. Okay. Alec Barton 313. Hey Eric, was DreamWorks involved in the Chicken Run sequel? I don't know if they were. I don't think so. I don't remember seeing their logo pop up, but they were involved with the first one. When is Avatar vs. Avatar 2? I don't know. We'll see when. But I hit a writer's block writing that script, and I haven't returned to it since. When Avatar is trending again, I'll try to go back to doing the Avatar 1 versus Avatar 2. Rohan says, which movie are you hyped for the most? Deadpool 3 or Joker 2? Joker 2. If it was a Fox movie, I'd probably be a harder thing to answer. But it is an MCU movie now at the end of the day, and they're going to try to do their MCU-isms. They're going to try to set up a bunch of other characters for the future of the MCU. They're going to try to bring in MCU X-Men characters. I just don't trust that. I don't trust the MCU, so as long as it's under them, Disney and Marvel, I don't trust them. We'll see what they do with the R rating, but I wouldn't even trust them with that either. But I do trust Ryan Reynolds, so we'll see what he does. MovieFan2002 says, want to hear a hot take? When I was a kid, I hated the Ember Island players. Oh, really? Thanks for the super chat, by the way, MovieFan. I really appreciate it. Oh, you really hated it? Oh, that's a shame, because I actually liked it the first time I saw it. It's very funny. The only flaw that I have with Season 3 of Avatar, The Last Airbender, is that Zuko, when he was accepted into the group, he was only in there for a few episodes before the big finale happened. And I really liked watching Zuko with all the characters. So it's a shame that didn't last longer before the show ended. That's like my only criticism with Season 3. Have you ever played Star Wars Battlefront? I did when I was playing on my PSP when I was younger, but that was about it. I was more partial to Star Wars The Force Unleashed, personally. What would you think if Cole Young was added as a DLC character to Mortal Kombat 1, said Arathorn. Well, I'm not playing Mortal Kombat 1, so I wouldn't really mind, but it would be kind of insulting. It would be like, that's not a character. That's the character that people didn't like in the movie, and now you're putting him in here. You know, just not be good. But we'll see what. I don't think they'll do that. Right now, we're waiting on Homelander, aren't we? If they did a Cobra Kai season, this heart is in the way. Season 6. What do you believe the plots would entail? I don't know, Batman's Gamer. They're very good at doing that, those writers, so I'll just leave it to them. But they are going to try... I think the next season is going to be the last season. But then we're going to get a movie where Jackie Chan and Daniel both cross over. So technically they're not going to end the story, but they're going to leave it open, I think. They're going to end it whilst leaving it open. Oh, Jacob says I was talking about Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine. No, I did not know that's the Bendy you were talking about. Sorry. Miles Adair. Eric, if you get excited for a movie coming out, do you look at what writer and director are hired and look on their projects from the past if they're well received or not? That's kind of what I do. That is what I do. But I specifically do it to people... Like when Marvel hires a writer, or Marvel hires a director, or any superhero movie does something like that. It basically has to be an IP that you care about. It can be any IP you care about. Once they do that, then I think, alright, who do they hire? Then I look into them. The same with actors and actresses. I'm like, what have they been in? So, yeah. And with Marvel, you normally get newbies, people that have never even set foot on a Hollywood studio. Because they're trying to really pander, so they're saying just get the person that fits these demographics because the character fits it, so we want them to write it. Even though they can fit it, but they still need to be a qualified writer. But yeah, no, Marvel, you know, we all know what Marvel are like. Miles Adair, I was here from the beginning when talking about Christopher Nolan winning Golden Globe Award. That's good. That's, wow, you've been here for an hour and 41 minutes. It's always interesting to hear that you guys are still here watching these live streams for so long. Because it's easy to get bored of a live stream, and the fact that you guys stick around. I don't get bored talking to you guys, that's why I'm still here. And the fact that you guys are still here as well, that is so great. So it's nice. It's always nice to chat with you guys. Rohan says, what do you think is going to happen in the Oscars 2024? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think Nolan is going to win this one, because I think Hollywood... This seems like the kind of movie that Hollywood would normally just give the win to, whether it's Christopher Nolan or not. This movie does seem like it's that type. So yeah, if I had to guess, I'd say that. Big Bash says, I was listening to this in the gym. I was playing basketball. Oh, that's good. Very good. She-Hulk gets a Razzie for being woke. Well, it could get some award for getting woke, but I think it should really just get an award for being bad, because it was atrocious. Spirit Hero says, have you watched anime? Heck yeah, I've watched anime. A lot of anime. I grew up watching anime when I was a kid, and I didn't even know it was anime. Loved watching Beyblade. I loved watching Zoids, Pokemon when I was a little kid, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I still love Yu-Gi-Oh! To this day. And there's other anime too, like Death Note. Got into Demon Slayer a couple of years ago. The Beyblade I saw, by the way, was the first Beyblade, not the later ones, like how they have Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and stuff. I don't bother with those personally. But yeah, no, I love anime when it's done right and when it's done well. Did you watch Sailor Moon? It has a lot of male fans, says Big Bash. No, I didn't. I never watched Sailor Moon, but I'm aware of what it is. I think I know why it has a lot of male fans, but that's not why I watch it. I want a good story when I watch these anime stuff. That's why I go there. Jess says Iron Fist was better in The Defenders than his own show. Yeah, that is true. I think I said that in my Let's Binge watch of The Defenders as well. Any D3 Adopt says, I'll just call you D3 from now on. It's hard to say all that very quickly. D3 says, any thoughts on the new Planet of the Apes movie coming out? Yes, I've said that I am interested because I'm a huge a huge Planet of the Apes fan. But because it's under Disney supervision now, the 20th Century Studios that they've got, I am expecting the worst in some ways. Well, I'm very cautious. I don't trust them immediately, and it's not Matt Reeves. They go from such a great director like Matt Reeves to the guy that made the Maze Runner movie. Disappointing choice, if you ask me. And I also think that the effects in the trailer don't look anywhere near as good as the effects did for the apes in the War for the Planet of the Apes trailer. Have you watched Castlevania, says Robin? Yes, I did see the first season, or do they call it season 0 back in the day, but I tried to watch another season a bit after that, and I watched a couple, but then I got busy and I dropped off. Spirit Hero, do you prefer dub or sub for anime? I prefer sub, as it sounds more natural. I prefer dub. Because listen to the voice of Yugi, for example, and Kaiba, and all these characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! When it's dubbed, and then listen to the voice when it's Japanese. There's just, for me, probably because I understand the language, most likely that is the reason, there's just more personality and variation in tone when it comes to them speaking English and the English voice actors. So yeah, that's what I think. Doesn't mean I haven't watched any anime with subtitles. I mean, heck, I even watched Godzilla -1, was it last month, with subtitles. I don't mind it. I've watched a lot of Bollywood movie with subtitles. I understand some of the language, but most of it I don't. So I have even read subtitles on those. So yeah, I'm not against it. But if I can get it in English, I would prefer to, particularly with animation, because you're not matching people's faces to their voices. So you can just buy any voice coming out of that. And for some reason, the English voices, they do seem to match the designs of these anime characters more than the Japanese versions do, if you ask me. Gary Loke says, will you release Invincible episode 3 and 4 on Let's Watch soon? Yes, I will. I'm wrapping up these videos, and I've also finished a Let's Watch of The Grinch 2000, which is also coming onto Patreon. So that'll be done, and then I can get these done. And then, so I'm hoping this month to get those done. Matt Reeves and Keanu Reeves are brothers for being the best Hollywood people. That is funny, Jess. The Dark Lord says, I just finished binge watching Invincible Season 1. What are your thoughts on it, Eric? I thought it was amazing. It starts off like a very generic, sort of like Saturday morning cartoon show with superheroes, and then by the end, the credit scene, that has one of the best credit scenes in Invincible. And that credit scene basically sets the tone and the mood for the rest of the show. And that final episode was painful to watch. It was so good, the writing. Rohan says, what are your thoughts on Arcane? I liked Arcane. But we're waiting a long time for the next season, which is going to come out, was it this year or the year after? I don't know now. Have you ever rewatched Logan recently? If not, what is your opinion on it now? My opinion is the same. It is still that same 9 out of 10 movie to me. I loved it. One of the best superhero movies and one of my favourite X-Men movies. I put it right up there with Days of Future Past. Both Logan and Days of Future Past, depending on what mood I'm on, they just keep switching in the first places. So, but Logan often stays in my first place favourite X-Men movie type thing. Cole says, you'll ever watch Solo? I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. That's why I've still not watched it. GA7A says, is there any content creators you watch? Yeah, I watch a lot of content creators. Linus Tech Tips. I used to watch Geekanoids when I was younger. I still like to occasionally go to him. Because that's where I used to learn a lot of my stuff to be a tech journalist, when I used to review technology on YouTube before I did movies and everything. So yeah, I'm watch a lot of YouTubers. Jeremy Johns I used to watch. I used to watch Chris Stuckman, but I don't watch him as much anymore. Because his reviews, he doesn't really like to say bad things about movies, and when he does, I feel like he's trying to be very conservative about it, because he doesn't want to piss any Hollywood people off, because he's trying to get into Hollywood. But we'll see what happens with those endeavors. I wish him the best. But yeah, I've watched quite a few people on YouTube. Yeah. Jess says, Eric, do you still watch Star Trek? I did watch Star Trek for a long time. Haven't seen him for a while. His videos are not nowhere near as funny as they used to be. He thinks they're being funny when really they're just weak jokes. So, King K says, why did the chat reset? It didn't reset. I still saw it. Maybe just on your computer or on your phone it reset. They're making a Toy Story 5. Why? Says Drake Holly. They're making it for money, aren't they? Because they know they're failing on these other properties they're doing, so they're trying to go back to the stash and make a ton of sequels, including a sequel of Inside Out. Alec Barton says, what is worse, YouTube getting rid of the dislike button or She-Hulk? I'd say they're both just as bad as each other, quite frankly, because they're both forced decisions, and they were coming up with a load of bullshit to basically justify it and say, this is why we're doing this. It's like, no, you're not. You're just doing it for your own personal gain. So I'd say they're both equal in that regard. They're both equally pieces of shit. Big Bash, what do you think of the ending of Toy Story 4? I did not like it. I was like, it's an ending, I don't hate it, but the ending to Toy Story 3 did was so much better. And then they ended it with 4 the way they did, and now they're going to try to bring Woody and Buzz back. It's like, how are you going to do that now? Well, they're going to figure something out. Jacob says, because Disney is losing money. Big Bash says, what do you think of Toy Story 4, and do you wish the series ended with 3? Yes, I do wish it ended with 3, but they keep on doing more. I've only seen 4 once in the theatre, and that is it. I never saw it again. Drake Holly, who is more greedy, Mr. Krabs or Disney? You seem to think that they're both two completely different people. I think there is a real-life Mr. Krabs up there at Disney going on about the money. But it's one of those things where it's like, imagine if you gave Mr. Krabs, says, look, you can spend this much money, and then you'll get this much money back. And he'll go, oh, I really will? You can imagine then he would be giving his money out constantly. So that's what Disney had been doing for a while, and now look at them. Did Judge Doom... Someone was asking a question about Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit. I think it was Marvel Cinematic Disaster. Did you just get rid of it? Batman's Gamer, I'm getting sleepy. I'm going to take a nap. If I wake up when the stream ends, then I'll catch you next time, Captain Eric. Take care. No problem at all. Thank you very much for dropping by, Batman's Gamer. I really appreciate it. Take care to you too. Have you seen One Punch Man? Yes, that's another anime I watched. One Punch Man. Season 1 was really good. I hear Season 2 is very bad, though, so I didn't watch that. Like I always say, whenever I do these streams, I always end up feeling hungry, so I need to sort myself out with regards to that later, because I've not eaten. Just getting a ton of notifications here, which I'm just wiping off. Rohan says, Eric, are you okay? Yes, I am. I'm just reading some stuff off of my phone. Eric, you ever watched The Amazing World of Gumball, says Jess. Yes, I have. Very funny show, but I've not seen every single episode. Jess says, Eric, wake up, you're sleeping. Did it look like I was sleeping? I wasn't sleeping, I was just looking at my phone. Did it look like to you guys I was sleeping? Yeah, you can't see my phone, can you? Did it look like, yeah, that way it looked like that I was just sleeping there. MovieFan 2002, another $5 super chat. I'm sorry, I should tell you guys next time. It does look like I'm sleeping on that screen, doesn't it, when I look down like that? I was not sleeping, although I am a bit tired. $5 super chat from MovieFan 2002. Thank you very much, buddy. Hey, Eric, what is your favourite Pixar movie? My favourite Pixar movie is Toy Story 3, I think. Yeah, Toy Story 3. Rohan says, see my question. I did see your question. Oh, I must have missed it. Which movie do you prefer, Logan or the Snyder Cut Justice League? Logan. Easy answer, Logan. I prefer Logan. I gave both of them a 9, didn't I, as well? There you go, Marvel Cinematic Disaster. That was the question you asked. Did Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit scare the ever-living shit out of you as a kid? I need an answer. It was definitely a bit freaky. Like, I didn't expect him to go... The show at this point had some edge to it. Sorry, the movie at this point had some edge to it. But it didn't get disturbing until then. I was like, that was just disturbing. When he goes like, when I killed your brother, I talked just like this. It's like, man, that would be the scariest way to go, that would be. And it was the Doc from Back to the Future as well. I didn't know that at that time, so I don't know if I even watched Back to the Future when I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit at that point. So yeah, it was freaky. It was definitely freaky. Aritra says, did I see Rebel Moon? No, I didn't see Rebel Moon. I intend to, but I haven't seen it. So I can't go in my best or worst of movies list. So that's always a disclaimer I make to you guys every time when I do those videos. So, yeah. And I am looking at my phone again, by the way. Did Rebel Moon have great special effects? From the trailer, it looked like it had good and bad effects. That spider I thought was the best effect. I was like, man, that was just disturbing to look at. So, yep, there are good effects and there are bad effects, but I think that was definitely one of the good effects in that. What is the darkest animated movie you've seen? That is a good question. The darkest animated movie. I'm trying to think. I know there are some, but they're just not coming to me. One of the darkest anime movies I've seen that I can think of right now is The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, which both function and work as like one piece, essentially. One big movie. So I'd say that is what I'd say. I got another $1 Streamlabs chat from you, so let's see who did that. $1 super chat. It's from Yako the Volcanic Muto. It's great to see you again, buddy. Hey Eric, happy 2024. Sorry I haven't been active on your last few streams. I was going through some stuff, but I'm slowly starting to get better. Cheers to 2024. My question is, what are your plans for 2024? Mine is to keep making movies. Thanks. Oh, that's great. I'm sorry things were not been going a bit not well for you. Things are not really going as well for us either. We've got some personal things going on. Things happen to everyone. You just kind of gotta, like, you know, put your best smile on, try to continue, and just keep going on. For me in 2024, I'm really trying to get my channel like up, because my channel is my business. I'm really trying to like get make it become a living for myself consistently. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. I'd say that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to do. Is that. Have you seen Mortal Kombat Legends, Snowblind, or Cage Match? No, I haven't. But I have seen the Scorpion's Revenge. That was a great one. So yeah, that was technically also a very dark cartoon. But still, the Batman one, there was just something dark about that in a different way. What is your thoughts on Legend of Korra, says Alec Barton. I think Legend of Korra is... Let's see. It's a good show, but I don't think it's a great show like the Avatar: The Last Airbender is. And I didn't like the ending where Asami and Korra, it came out of nowhere, and I wasn't the only one that thought that at the time. We were like, when did this happen? Like, to me, the equivalent would be if it would be at the very end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. If Aang and Sokka had hooked up, it'd be like, wait, what? Like, where did that come from? That's how I felt here. I was like, where did that come from in Korra? So yeah, but I liked the show, but Korra was a character that I just liked less and less. Season 1, she was good. Season 2, she was just getting so angry at the point that I was like, you're just making these decisions, which as a teenager myself, I could relate to, but I could not relate to her getting as angry as she was getting. I was like, if I can't relate to it and you're not winning me, you're bringing me on board with that, then that means you've lost. The writing is not doing good to make me sympathize or feel sorry for her. I just thought she was kind of like just a rude little brat, is what I thought. Gary Loke says, have you seen WALL-E? It's my favourite Pixar movie. I have seen it. I saw it in the cinema when I was a kid. I enjoyed it. I thought it looked boring at the time going by the trailers, but no, I really did enjoy it. Jess says, restore the Snyderverse. I'm kind of done with that. I used to agree with that, but now I'm just tired. It's like, how many years do we have to wait? So, yeah, I'm not into restore the Snyderverse anymore. Just, James Gunn, have your Superman movie made, and let's see where we go from there. Matt Reeves, have your Batman movie made, and let's see where we can go from there. That's what I want to see now. How would you rate the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man films now? I would rate it... I don't know. They're just kind of naff to me. But I'll say No Way Home, Far From Home, and then Homecoming. I did not like Homecoming. Jacob says favourite song. We're Not Gonna Take It is a song I really enjoy. I used to play that on Guitar Hero on the DS, and that's how I heard about some great songs. The Middle is also a great song as well. Will you compare the Alec Barton says, will you compare Avatar The Last Airbender live action show to the animated show and the live action movie? My intentions are to compare it to the show. I don't know if I'll do it to the movie. Maybe I'll do a separate video of that. We'll see what happens. And that's what happens when you got a lot of different stuff to compare. It just becomes, from videos like mine, it's like, just messes with your mind. What should I do? Should I do this one, and this one? Or just this one and this one, and then do this one and this one, and then do that one and that one? It's like, it just... Which one is... I'll figure it out closer to the time. I think the biggest one that people are going to want to do at the beginning is for me to compare it to the animated one, because the animated one is essentially going to be compared directly to this because they're both shows. So probably that's what I'll do first. Probably. It depends, I think. But I don't like making videos that are long because they take me too long to make, so I want to try to make it more bite-sized. More like 10 to 15 minutes if I can, that's my goal. But they always end up going to be like 20 minutes or more, and that takes longer for me to edit. Drake Hawley, which horror movie scared you the most? A horror movie that scared me the most was the first Insidious when I was younger, because that crazy old woman was just freaky. And I was like, why does this crazy old woman look scarier than the Woman in Black, for example? Why does this one just freak me out so much? Then I found out it's because it's not an old woman, it's an old man, and that's why it freaks me out so much. So yeah. Guys, I'm just letting you know we'll do 30 more minutes on the stream, and then I'm going to call it quits. So I'll let you know ahead of time right now. So I'll answer all your questions, all your super chats, everything in the next half hour. And then I'm out. Which is your Arathorn says, which is your favorite Uncharted game? Mine is 4. Mine was, I reviewed all of them as part of my 3-minute reviews show. I reviewed each and every single one. I can't remember exactly, but if I remember correctly, I think Uncharted 2 was my favorite. Time Shadow. Venom versus Let There Be Carnage. It would be funny. Not so much to me. I don't know. I think... thank you very much for your £2 super chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it'll probably be funny, and it probably could make a fun video, but it's not relevant right now. I need to focus on things that are relevant, and I don't want to put myself through that. I don't like watching these Sony movies, and then you have to analyze them, and it's just not fun, I think, personally. Can get a bit... It can be fun sometimes, but you have to be in the right mindset. Right now, I'm not bothered, and if I do it, it'll just be misery for me. I'm looking at more fun ideas currently, and I don't want to, do another one that's not so fun. Rohan says, see my question. Your favorite Uncharted game was the first sequel. Yes, it was. It was Uncharted 2. Aritra says, do you think Stranger Things as a whole has lost its magic? Yes, I do, because one of the things I did not like about I do agree, yeah, I do think that. One of the things I did not like about Stranger Things Season 4 is that the kids had now grown up too much. They were just teenagers at this point. What made it kind of cute and different at the beginning is that they were little children. But now they've become teenagers and they become very loud. So when they were playing Dungeons and Dragons at the first episode and screaming, I was like, this is just teenagers I'm watching now, just making noise. They've lost that charm of when they were cute kids. And you felt more sorry for them because they were just because they were children. You kind of lost that now. Now they're in teenager territory. And they doubled the length of the episodes, which I thought I was so looking forward to at first, but they've made them twice as long, which I felt just made it... Half of it was boring, is what I thought. I was like, they shouldn't have made it an hour and a half. They should have just left it at 40 minutes. They kept introducing new characters, which was too much. And yeah, I didn't like the guy that was being high. Some of the characters were separated too long, and I was like, I'm getting sick of this formula with Stranger Things. So yeah, I'm really just kind of done and tired of it. So Season 4 really did wear me out. I didn't like it. And Will's character, I was defending him in the first 3 seasons, but in Season 4, he was crying way too much to the point that I was like, seriously, just get over it, would you? It's like, by episode 7 or whatever, he was still crying. I'm like, dude, stop. And when 11 was being bullied, he was just being a bloody girl and a wimp, and he made 11 look bad in front of Mike when he was telling Mike, she's lying to you. It's like, tell him that she's being bullied. Why would you say she's lying to you? You're making her look bad. I hated Will. He was a pathetic little shit in that season. He annoyed the crap out of me. Jess says, Eric, when were you introduced to Dakota Johnson and which movie? Well, I always heard about her from 50 Shades of Grey because I saw people that reviewed the movie and they were describing the movie as women think it's romantic, but really it's a horror film. And I think there was a review from Double Toasted where they put the Halloween music over them, and I liked their review. So I watched some people's funny reviews where they mocked the movie. And this is before the movie even came out, so they weren't using any clips. It was just people sitting down on their couch or whatever, just making fun of it. And that, for me, was so fun. So I was aware of her from that. And the first time I think I saw her in a movie was it the last night at the LA Royale or something? At the El Royale? I can't remember what it was called. That movie where Chris Hemsworth was in and he played the bad guy and there's a bunch of other characters. It was a movie trying to copy a Quentin Tarantino movie. That was the first time I saw her in a movie. Robin says, Let There Be Carnage needed to be rated R. Yeah, it did, for sure. The Dark Lord says 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Eric said, thinking that will be the truth. It will be the truth. 2 hours, 30 minutes in. Unless I get some of my older, long-time YouTube subscribers in here. Yeah, I'm not gonna... I'll be ending the stream unless they come in, like, say, Adam Grunther or anyone from, basically some long-time supporters of the channel. Then I'll answer and stick around for them. Otherwise, I will be ending the stream in about half an hour. Wonka movie thoughts, and will there be a 3-way versus video for it? I'll think about it, but I haven't seen Wonka, so I can't really comment on that. Rohan says, which horror movie do you prefer, The Conjuring 2 or It? The Conjuring 2. I like The Conjuring 2 better, personally. It was a very nice movie. I like the Warrens characters. I like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They're both very good actors. They play the roles very well. And they are the ones that sell the movies. It's not the scares anymore like you would think. It's them, which is very, very good on their part. It's not easy to pull something like that off. Have you seen Succession, says Spirit Hero? No, I haven't seen Succession, but I do intend to. Eric, Jess, you need to say that again. Eric, to John Travolta is. Do I know who John Travolta is? Yes, I do. I've seen him in many movies, and he's in one of my favourite movies, the 2004 Punisher, and Face Off. Miles Adair, how would you rate Peacemaker, and which do you prefer, Invincible or The Boys? That is a very good question, but I prefer The Boys. Noah says, do you know who the actresses considered for Supergirl are? Have you seen them in anything? I said this earlier, that I did have a look at them. I didn't recognize them from anything, but I said we'll wait and see, and then I'll check to see what they're in. Big Bash says, Eric, how do you feel YouTube has changed compared to when you started? Everything has changed. You can turn YouTube into a career, whereas you couldn't when I first started. You can upload videos that are longer than 10 minutes, whereas before, if you went even just a second over 10 minutes, they would take the video down and put a strike on your account or something. You can now what happens as well is that unfortunately you can't put movie music in the background because you'll get copyright claimed, even though it's fair use. They won't allow it, which is unfortunate because I used to do it all the time, but now I can't. So a lot of things have changed. They even changed the star rating to a thumb ups and thumbs down, and then they got rid of the thumbs down but kept the button there. It's just weird. So yeah, YouTube have done a lot of changes. Too many to count. Have you watched Saltburn? Great fan of your channel. Oh, thanks, Tyler. No, I haven't seen Saltburn. Doesn't sound like my kind of movie. Let's see. Who do you think should direct Deadpool 3? I think they got a good director. He's made some good movies. Jess says, John Travolta was famous in the 70s, and even in movies like Carrie, Saturday Night Fever, and Grease. Have you seen those movies? I haven't, although I do know that he was in Carrie, and I heard that his career took another downturn until Quentin Tarantino put him in Pulp Fiction, and then he got put back up again. So yeah. Rohan says, I've seen Godzilla -1 and I loved it. That's great. I'm glad you loved it. It was a very good movie. The Time Shadow says, Jungle Book live action remake versus insert Disney live action remake here. Yeah, that versus video that could work. Big Bash says, what YouTubers did you watch when you first started making videos? I watched people like Jedi Master Rag. He's no longer there on YouTube anymore, which is a shame because I really loved his channel and he deleted all his videos and he was getting loads of subscribers. And he also did another channel afterwards called Music Gamer 27 and he deleted that one eventually too. That was one of my favorite YouTubers at the time. Like, he really introduced me into a lot of stuff about gaming, which I wasn't aware of when I was younger. And then he was on Expo TV. I managed to track one of his older channels down, so I got some content rather than no content, and now that's gone as well, so... Such a shame. He was one of my favorite YouTubers, and if I could find him now on YouTube, I would. I would want to watch more of his movies, but he introduced me to a lot of things in terms of the gaming side of things. He also made me interested in the idea of editing, because I was watching some of the stuff he's doing. I'm like, wow, can you actually do that at home? Then I started looking into editing softwares, and then there was another guy called the Ashfire06 who did PSP walkthrough videos. I know he's still on YouTube, but he did a great job. But yeah, a lot of these people, like, through them, I was realizing, I'm like, oh wow, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this with editing. That's how I taught myself a lot of this stuff. I know one YouTuber who I watched at the time, and I still watch him occasionally now, is Nightwing01. He had a huge influence on me in terms of structuring reviews and things. You might be able to see when I was younger, I even copied him a little bit because I didn't know how to pick up my own style. I used to doubt myself all the time. But over the years, that kind of goes, and you stop copying what you see, and you get confident enough to just rely on what you can bring to the table. And there's a journey to that as a YouTuber, to being able to do that, because it is very intimidating to put something out on YouTube, and you think you're not good enough. So yeah, Nightwing01, he's still on YouTube. He does a lot of Let's Plays, but his reviews were downright phenomenal. That's where I learned a lot of my stuff as to how to do reviews in the first place. And to this day, I still take inspiration from him. Things that I've learned, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, I've taken a lot of inspiration from him. But now he does a lot of Let's Plays. He's not into doing reviews anymore, which is a big, big shame, because that was, like I said, the highlight. The Dark Lord says new people... Oh, that's you're replying to Noah, and I've missed his comment, so I won't read that. A lot of comments here, so if you really want your comment answered and I'm not doing it, I apologize. And like I said, that's what the super chats and the Streamlabs chats are there for, so I'll definitely see your comment if that happens. Do you like The Simpsons? Says Cole Bunnell. Yes, I do like The Simpsons. I used to watch The Simpsons a lot when I was younger, but then eventually I just stopped, and I have occasionally on Disney Plus popped into an episode here or there, but that's about it. And it's usually when I'm eating food or something, or if it's a Halloween special during Halloween or something like that. Rohan says, what are your thoughts on Ratatouille? It's a good movie. I didn't love it like a lot of other people did, but I did think it was a good movie. Have you seen the Ice Age movie, says Gary Loke? Yes, I've seen all of them, with the exception of, I think they did one recently, and I haven't seen that. Are you excited for Terrifier 3? I do not know. I'm curious. I've not watched any of the Terrifier movies all the way through. I've skipped through them, especially the second one, which is 2.5 hours long. So I assume I will be doing the same thing here, but I did watch huge chunks of it. But we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts on Spawn? Cool looking character, but they've not sold me on him. I hear the animated show they did was 18 and very bloody, like rated R. So I wonder if I wanted to watch that for a while at some point, but I just still haven't gotten around to it. So we'll see. Oh, I also used to watch Ashens when I was younger as a YouTube channel, and I still watch him too. But I don't like his some of his videos that he does. I like it when he covers tech game reviews and old consoles and new consoles. Those are so fun. I could watch those over and over again, and I have. Tim Burton is either a hit or a miss. Yeah, he is, definitely. Back in the day, he was always a hit, but now he's always a miss, quite frankly, to me. Rohan says, why are you hyped for Joker 2 but not Deadpool 3? I'm hyped for both, but if I had to pick one over the other, I would pick Joker 2. Because it's under Disney, isn't it? So I doubt anything that has their name on it. The only reason I'm excited at all is because it's got Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds' names on it, and they are very protective over their characters, so I hope they get to overrule everything that Disney does. Big Bash says, will you ever go back to technology reviews? Nah, it was definitely... Technology reviews was kind of like my second passion. I always wanted to do a movie channel, but I thought the movie channel was seen on YouTube was just so oversaturated. I thought I'd never be able to find my way in on that. So I tried to do the whole technology reviews thing. But, yeah, it unfortunately didn't take off, and other people were getting technology devices so much quicker. I was making contacts and getting, like, review units and stuff, which was so cool, and some stuff that I've kept from reviewing stuff, like this lamp that I reviewed this is on my channel a long time ago. When we moved house, I actually needed a nightlight, so I asked a reviewer to send this to me. I got to keep this for free, and it changes its light tone as well, you can see, so it makes it lighter, brighter, warmer, and then you can drop it right back down. There you go back. So, and there's a lot of things that I've basically got which I've kept, which ultimately I still have to this day, and it's really it was cool to basically be able to get some free stuff in that way, especially if you needed some free things. But then there's a lot of things that you would just happen to get for free by luck because they let you keep it, and it's cheaper to let you keep it than for them, for me to send it back. But that was always fun to do that stuff. Gregory, great to see you on the stream, buddy. Says, please put Puss in Boots 2 in your 2023 list since it's a UK 2023 release for you. You did that with Jojo Rabbit in 2020. I cannot tell you what's going to go on that list yet, so you're going to have to wait. I'm not telling anyone what's on my list. Gregory also says, do you still like Incredibles 2? I like it, but I haven't really felt the need to watch it again. I've only watched it once again on Disney+. I don't think I've watched it ever again, so twice in the whole time I've seen it, and never ever again after that. Jess says, Eric, your first YouTube video was you play on the DS as a kid, and then as an adult, you become a... Oh, let me say that again. Eric, your first YouTube video was you play on the DS as a kid, and then as an adult, you became a movie reviewer. What made you this way? Well, basically, I was just trying to do a lot of different things on YouTube and find my calling, essentially. And sometimes you gotta try a bunch of different things. I wanted to be a DS game channel at the beginning because some other people were doing it. I thought, oh, that's cool, I'll try. Because Ben 10 was a game that people were struggling to beat the boss battles on. So I made a video where I was talking about the boss battles, and it was making like it got 70,000 views. That was like one of my first videos, and it got so much views, which was cool. Then I did a Ben 10 DS playthrough where I played through the whole game on camera. It was on my dad's camera. I didn't know how to use the macro thing on that because I didn't know what macro was, but apparently there's one video that ended up being so clear on my channel when I just happened to put the camera down. And the rest were all more blurry because the camera wouldn't focus on it, and that was a shame. But that was the quality of YouTube videos back in the day, so it was acceptable at the time. Now it's not. Back then it was, though. But yeah. Thoughts on Dune Part 1? I liked it. I need to see more, though. It felt like it just ended. Cole says, have you seen A Haunting in Venice? If so, thoughts? I have got it on Disney+, but I haven't seen it yet. I need to see it. In the UK, we have Star or something, whatever you call it, which is connected to our Disney+, kind of like I think how in America you'll have Hulu connected to Disney+. So I've got it on the service. I'll watch it at some point. Gregory says, Incredibles 2 is not as bad as people make it out to be. Also, the fact that you didn't say no straight out really gets me hyped for the chance of you including Puss in Boots 2. Well, that's great. But yeah, I don't hate Incredibles 2, but I don't love it like the first one. I don't think it comes close to the first one. Gary Loke, this is your third super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much for the support and for the... Oops, sorry. Thank you very much for the support and for the donation. Really, thank you very much. What's worse, Home Alone 4 or Home Sweet Home Alone? That's a good question. I'd say Home Sweet Home Alone was worse. I've also got a $1 chat from Streamlabs. So let's write that down. The $1 chat is from Yakko the Volcanic Muto. Another donation, and that's his words, not mine. Another donation, woohoo! I'm excited to see what you do this year, my friend. Like the streams, the Versus videos, and more movie reviews. Oh, like the streams, the Versus videos, and more movie reviews. I also can't wait to show you more of my movies. Hope things go more smoothly this year, despite a rough start. Oh, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I hope so. Things go more smoothly too. Yeah, it is always a rough start when you're trying to make a career as a YouTuber at the beginning because of the whole advertising thing I mentioned to you about. But yeah, but no, when you give super chats like this and donations like this, you guys really help make help me live life basically with your donation. So thank you very much. Gregory says Eric streaming equals a great day. That is, thank you very much. I appreciate those kind words, Gregory. Brig Bash says, who's your favorite British singer? I don't know, because I hear songs, I don't know who the singers or the bands are. Except for Jimmy Eat World. Did they do We're Not Gonna Take It, or was it The Middle? I can't remember. One of the two. Noah says, Eric, I'm confused. After your stream about Aquaman 2, are your rating for Aquaman 2018 still 8 out of 10 or 10 out of 10? My rating is a 10 out of 10 for the first Aquaman. I still loved it. Objectively, but if you put Amber Heard in there, I can drop that score all the way down if you factor her in. But I look at the movie objectively, and yeah. Tripster, do you think the Monsterverse has gotten worse the longer it's been a thing? The Monsterverse didn't even last long. Oh, you're talking about the Warner Brothers, the Godzilla one. I thought you were talking about the Universal one with the Mummy. That Monsterverse. The Monsterverse has kind of gotten worse, but it's also gotten better, because you got to remember the first movie they did with Godzilla, he didn't even show up in the freaking movie. So I think that's about as worse as you can get. So no, I don't think it's gotten worse. Look at that. We got 10 minutes left on the stream. I do intend to stick to it, like I said, unless some of my long-time supporters on the channel show up to the stream. And that's kind of always the case when I say I'm going to end a stream. If the long-term, some more people join the stream, especially long-term people, I'll definitely stay on longer. Yako, the volcanic Muto, says, I think it's gotten better. Yeah, it has gotten better. Alec Barton says, if we keep this up, Disney will make a remake of Chicken Little. Lol. Well, that Chicken Little movie I don't even think was that great that they made. So yeah, make another one, make it better. But they won't make it better. That other one will still be far better. The G-Gamer, I'll ask one more question. Is there a movie that you thought was good on your first watch, but then it became amazing after rewatches? I thought you were going to say it would get worse after rewatches. Yeah, Aquaman is one of those movies. I thought it was good the first time I saw it. I gave it a 7. Saw it the second time. I loved it. I gave it, was it like an 8? And then watching it again at home, my projector, I got a 9. And watching it again, I was like, you know what? I'm just so happy watching this. I'm still not bored of it. I jumped it up to a 10, the first one. Fantastic music, visual effects, world building. Phenomenal. It really is. Gregory says, check my other comment. Also, you said in your war review that you said that you had one problem with Dawn. Isn't it your second favourite movie ever? Yes, it is. And no movie is perfect, except The Dark Knight in my mind. But I'm sure there might be some problems if you dig in there somewhere. But it still is my favourite movie. The stuff with the... Here's the thing. I've said this many times in my videos before. The good can far outweigh the bad. And that's what happened in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. The good outweighed the bad. I love the stuff. The stuff that was good was so good. And the focus is still always on Caesar. So even though I didn't like the human characters that much, I still loved that movie, what it did. Especially the opening, where it's all ape with no dialogue and stuff, and like just body language. It was just amazing. It's like that Marvel is how you do an opening with characters that just use sign language. You know, like with Echo, what they're trying to do. It was beautifully done in the Planet of the Apes movies, but not so much in the... these other ones that they do. Matt Reeves, man, says Yako. Yeah, you don't have to tell me. That guy is amazing at filmmaking. So I'm really looking forward to his Batman movie, which if I had to guess, would be delayed. So I think his Batman movie will most likely come out in 2026, but I'm hoping to see it in 2025 next year. When you watch Big Bashers, when you watch Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies in theaters, what did you think of the theme? I didn't see the first one in theaters. I wanted to. The first time I heard the theme was at home when we watched it on video or DVD. I can't remember which one. Love the theme. It's amazing. Still my favorite Spider-Man theme. Gregory Bronstein says, so you think Dark Knight is objectively flawless, or you just can't think of them and choose to ignore them because of how much you love it? No, I'm sure there might be some flaws there. I just don't go searching for them. Unless I'm reviewing stuff. When I review stuff, I talk about the stuff that I see. Or if there's a glaring problem that everyone on the internet talks about, then I'll talk about it. Like when people say Batman's voice is very rough, I'll talk about it. But I've always said that voice has never bothered me. If the internet never made it apparent, I never would have even given it a second thought. It just so happened to be on my mind when other people brought it up. But for me, it never bothered me. Christian Bale's Batman, I loved his Batman. Some people say that as time has gone by, he's not a great Batman, but I still think he is, especially for that telling of the version of the story they were going for. He's a fantastic Batman. But yeah, if I acknowledge problems, I'll say it's a problem. If it depends on it's a problem if it's for me or not. But from what I've seen, I don't see any problems in that movie. Gregory says, but what about Rachel's recasting? I actually thought it worked for the better. When I was younger, I said she looked like an old lady. I didn't like her very much, but she did look older than Rachel in the first one. But I can't imagine both actresses playing the role in the Others movie. So I can't imagine Maggie Gyllenhaal playing Katie Holmes' character of Rachel in the first Batman and saying her lines, and I can't imagine Katie Holmes being in Maggie Gyllenhaal's role and saying her lines. So it kind of worked, the recasting. Although I can imagine Katie Holmes must have not been pleased when she found out that the movie was actually amazing and even better than the first one. She left and it wasn't a good thing for her. Big Bash, Willem Dafoe should play Joker in James Gunn's Batman. Maybe, but it depends how old they want Batman to be versus how old they want Joker to be. But then again, they do want an older Batman, so maybe it could work. Okay, we've got 5 more minutes on the stream, so any questions you want to put them in. If you're afraid that they won't be read, put them in the Super Chat or the Streamlabs chat, and I can see them instantly and answer them right away. Rohan says, what are your thoughts on a fan cast for Bill Skarsgård for Joker? Is that a fan cast that's going around? I don't think it would work. We'll just see him as Pennywise. He has to really have a completely different character if he wants to do that. And I feel like if he puts that face on, that he has that creepy face, I think people will just see Pennywise. So I would say no. He's also doing that Pennywise show, so he's going to come back as the character. So he's got his little franchise that he can continue doing. LJCB says, what is your third favourite film? I really don't know. I think I said I've got my 1, 2, and 3, 4 maybe? But I can't, or was it, did I just say I got my 1, 2 and I can't think of 3, 4? I think that's what I said. Gregory says, that's still a problem because she feels like a different character. Also, I remember your child review of Dark Knight. It was weird going back to. It was weird. It's even weird for me to go back to. My voice sounds very. It's not broken, clearly. Yeah, but for some reason with The Dark Knight, it just doesn't bother me. There's certain movies where recasting doesn't bother you because they recast the right character. They didn't go right to the top of the list and recast a main character. So you can get away with recasting the smaller characters. Yeah, it just never bothered me personally. Big Bash says, what hero deserves a game from Insomniac in your opinion? The Punisher. I want to see a Punisher game from Insomniac. I really wanted to see another Punisher game because he had a Punisher game in 2005, I think it was, and it was voiced by Thomas Jane, who did him in the 2004 movie, and he did a phenomenal job as well. So yeah, Rachel is not what I would call a small character, says Gregory. Yeah, she's not a small character, but she is a smaller character compared to say Bruce Wayne or say Alfred or Gordon or stuff like that. Basically, they did it, and the replacement actress did a good job. That's the thing. When you replace an actor that is meant to do a good job, that's good. But if you replace the actor trying to do just a gender swap or a race swap or whatever, then it doesn't work. Like, say, when you look at the upcoming The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game. In that, they've basically race swapped a character that was already in the Arkhamverse, Deadshot, and it does not work. So clearly they're doing it just to make it match Will Smith, but they did it at the expense of what came before. I didn't feel like The Dark Knight did it at the expense of what came before. Gregory also says, what is your biggest movie hot take? Mine is Last Crusade over Raiders. Well, if that's your biggest hot take, that's mine. I prefer The Last Crusade over Raiders as well. Noah says, Aquaman or the Batman? Ignore Amber Heard. I think the Batman takes the edge. Yeah, the Batman does take the edge. Because Aquaman is a very great and fun movie, but it's on a certain level. The Batman is on a more intelligent level. So a 9 out of 10 from the more intelligent level section is better than a 10 out of 10 on the more fun action movie section, if you know what I mean. That's how I feel about even Infinity War when I give that a 10 out of 10. It's like, yeah, but The Dark Knight is up here, 10 out of 10. And Batman Begins, I think I gave an 8 or a 9 at the time. And I was like, yeah, that is still on that top level still, so that is better. Batman Begins over Infinity War. What was your other hot take, Gregory? Oh, and the fact that I'm not a huge fan. That's why I say a lot of comments here, so that's why I say put them in super chats if you want me to see them, because it is tricky sometimes. They keep going down the comments and they scroll questions up. So first was your Last Crusade over Raiders, and the fact that you're not a huge fan of Back to the Future. Yeah, that's probably a bigger hot take. I am a huge fan of Back to the Future. Where is it? Yako says, I'm gonna head now, Eric. Have a good day. No problem. I'm gonna head out now too, so you might want to stay around for the goodbyes that I give, because I'm gonna leave in about half a minute now. Ben Affleck Batman or Michael Keaton for being killers? Michael Keaton. I still prefer Michael Keaton's Batman. Ben Affleck was a great Batman though as well. Hey Eric, my blood test went well. It didn't hurt. Oh, that's great. And now you got rid of your comments, I can't see the rest. That's great that your blood test went well, because you said that you were afraid of having it. I'm glad it went well. Big Bashers make a video of the Dark Knight trilogy. At some point I could. But I think I've already covered Batman Begins and the Dark Knight, haven't I, on my channel? Have I covered Batman Begins or not? Alright then, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, so that half hour is over. I am starving, my voice is gone. And I'm also feeling tired, and I've still got to edit my top 5 best movies of the year, so I've got to get back to that once I'm done with all this stuff. So it was great chatting to all of you guys again. Thank you very much for the constant support, the super chats, the Streamlabs chats. You guys really do know how to make a guy feel good, so thank you very much for the support. I really do appreciate it. As always, if you're feeling generous, the Streamlabs link is always active, so you can always donate to me there. Oh, Zilla1999 says you missed it. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Don't worry, you know there's always more streams coming. Quickly ask your question now, and if I don't end the stream, I can answer it for you. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, as always, for supporting the channel. Like I said, the Streamlabs link is always there. You can always donate to me via there if you still want to do so. And yeah, it really is an absolute pleasure to see you guys every single week. I really do enjoy it. Cole says bye, Captain Eric, and so does Arathorn. Thank you. Captain Eric really appreciates all of you. Thank you very much, and a big thanks again to Joey Nicholas for being a new Patreon member. Anytime a new Patreon member comes up and joins on Patreon during these live streams, I will always put your name right here. So thanks again for joining on Patreon. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for supporting me on Streamlabs and with the super chats. And thanks for supporting me by watching these videos. Please do watch the Chicken Run 2 versus video if you haven't already. And that's about it. I'm going to head out. Thank you very much, as always, for watching, and I will catch all of you very, very soon. Take care.